But it was 2008, there was like financial crisis, some things went down in work that I didn't really like. And I just kept thinking like, but my guys have $1 million in Lagos.
You making money over there, send it my way.
In 2008, as the world slipped into a global recession, one young man made a different kind of bet on himself. Wale Davies, known to most as Tech, one half of rap duo Show Dem Camp, left his job in Amsterdam and returned to Lagos, chasing a dream in Nigeria's rising music scene.
This Lagos City, man, the hustle's mad here. The Dreamer Project's on the way, it's about to come out.
His journey since then has been a masterclass in creative excellence. From the gritty lyricism of Clone Wars to the laid-back fusion of palm wine music, Wale carved out a lane of his own. Part poet, part architect of culture.
And I want to thank my team, Muiwa, Wale.
But music was just a point of entry. Behind the scenes, Wale was directed and producing music videos.
Like there was a point where those music videos, how I was literally surviving.
Working with acts like Neka, Naira Marley, Budge, and Ladipo, building his own visual language. And when Tems stepped into the spotlight, Wale was there too, helping guide her from a promising voice in Lagos to global stages, Grammy wins, and co-signs from the likes of Adele, Beyonce, Drake, and Rihanna. In 2021, Lizard, a short film he co-wrote with his brother, director Akinola Davies Jr., became the first Nigerian production to win the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. Now they've done it again. Their latest film, My Father's Shadow, just became the first Nigerian film ever to premiere at Cannes. None of it came easy. There was loss. There was self-sabotage. There were the limits placed on Nigerian creatives and the work it takes to break them. This is the story of how Wale Davies became an overnight success.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Overnight Success. Today, my guest is Wale Davies. Hi, Wale.
Hi man, how you doing?
Good. Okay, quick question. Pick one.
Okay.
Never decline physically
Okay.
or never decline mentally?
Never decline physically or never decline mentally. But if I decline physically and my brain has gone, then what do I have? So I'll say never decline
mentally.
Yeah.
I knew that's what you were going to do. So let's take it back. Your father passed away at a very young age for you. So I'm kind of curious. One, how much of his memory do you still hold? And two, what impact do you think that had on you?
I think it's easier to start with the impact. I think that, it's funny, when I was growing up, I'd always hear from my mom or from different people that I remember even recently I met a friend from primary school, and I remember him saying, I used to lie a lot. I used to lie a lot. And it's funny that you should say that, because I actually remember my mom would be like, I think you should be a lawyer because, you can tell lies, And I think when I think back at the lies, I remember when I was in school, I used to make up all these stories to myself and also to my peers that, my dad is like a secret agent, he's not dead, he's like in China, he can't really contact us. And bless them, because I used to think that, I'm sure now, me with hindsight, I'm sure all of them are thinking, yeah, sure. But they will all play along with me.
Okay.
They will all be like, okay, your dad is in China, what's he doing in China? Then I'll give another angle. Okay, so why doesn't he call you? He can't reach us because he's secret. So it's funny, I remember when I was a teenager, I watched like Born Identity, about an agent that lost his mind and all that kind of stuff. And it resonated with me because that was a story that I had made up as a child, to myself, and I just would not accept in a lot of ways. So I think that on one side, in a warped way, I give a lot of like creativity to that. I think storytelling and the ability to tell stories. And also, I think that, in my work, right? So with regards to Show Dem Camp, and also now that we're going to the film world, I think like the first film we've done is also some kind of like searching for answers in the dynamic of like fatherhood, So I think it affected me deeply. And then I think, what was the first part of the question again? You said,
How much of his memory do you still hold?
Which is also funny because that's also a big part of like the film and stuff that we're doing, which is trying to figure out actually how much of the memories I still hold. Because I say that because in some instances, there's some memories that I don't know if I've co-opted or are my genuine memories. Like, there could be stories that my mom has told us or told me, because there's some things that maybe me and my younger brother have the exact same memory, right? And my brother was 2 and I was 5. So how can he at 2, maybe he can, but how can he at 2 remember the exact same thing? While we told this story, was this something that we both internalized or whatever? I don't know. So for me, there's specific memories. One of them, I have a tattoo here of like an Eyo masquerade. I remember because my dad's family is a Lagos family and they have their own Eyo. So I remember being young, like dressing up as like Eyo, and going into like the festival, and so I remember that as a memory. And then just other like little snippets, I'll see.
And so, I mean, obviously the legacy of your father passing on was that you grew up in a single parent household. And that's something that we see a lot in like culture. It's like, the strong Black mother. But talk to me about how your mother parented you guys, how she brought you guys up in this, world. And she's basically, kids who are like successful, like top of their fields.
I think she brought us up with principles. And, it's funny because at the time, I remember just like being so angry as to why she would do certain things. I remember once I stole a comic book. It was the first time I ever saw Justice League. So I don't know whether it's Justice League, the one with Superman and Batman and all of them together. And I remember I went to my cousin Bubemi's house and he showed me this comic. And I remember I stole it. I put it in my underwear and I got to the car, and they used to live on the island, and we used to live in Bagada. So we're on the bridge going to Bagada, and it was me and my brother in the back. And I remember bringing this comic out. My mom was driving for some reason that day. Maybe it was a Sunday or something. And I brought it out, and maybe she saw me through the rear view mirror, but then she just asked me, like, so where did you get that from? And I said, Bubemi gave it to me. He borrowed me. She said, he borrowed you? I said, yeah. I said, okay. So as she got off, next night I just saw that we're heading back on the bridge to their house. And I remember her like, tell her, so bring it out and show that. And I now felt like horrified because my cousin's mom was there, my cousin was there. And the most embarrassing thing of the whole thing was at the end, his mom was like, let him keep it, if he wants it that much. I felt so like embarrassed. Like it was a real lesson that is ingrained in my mind to today. Or even just like coveting other people's things. She would tell us like, no, you like what you have is, or when I went to Atlantic Hall, for example, I remember like I used to feel so embarrassed because I just moved from King's College. And in KC, there are all sorts of different demographics of people. So you can get away with being a little bit on the broke side, right? But in Atlantic Hall, you can't, right? And at that time, we had like one Golf. That was the only car that my mom had, like an old Golf, and it was beat up. They have AC. And like the driver will come and pick us in Atlantic, and all these other kids have like Benzes and all these things. So I'll tell my driver to go park far from the school. And I would walk all the way. And I think the driver now told my mom one day that, she's like, why are you not parking? She's like, Wale tells me to park far. So she drove it to the front of the school. Like she came with the driver, she was at the front. She said, and I remember walking down with all my friends. And I was so angry at the driver. Then I saw my mom was in the car too. So I had to now just form, and they were like, is that your car? And I was just, and it's all these things as a child that like, at the time you're like, oh, my mom is so annoying. Why is she doing that? Like, but, now as an adult, growing up and seeing some of the lessons that it instilled in me, just being satisfied, being content with what you have or being proud of what you have, I think that those are things that came from her specifically. And then also as well, like I think just seeing the way when my dad passed, how like she depended on God for everything. I think that's like, I oftentimes say like I have a daughter now, and if there's one thing that beyond even riches or whatever, like because I feel that like God can bring you riches, like I feel if there's one thing that I can impart on her, like above all other things, is that you can always turn to God. Like whenever you're in the deepest of trenches, whenever you're in the high points, whatever it is, like God will always still show up in some sort of way for you. And that's my mom that actually like instilled that. She used to make us do Bible study. I hated it. Like we'll sit down and she'll make us read chapter. Okay, what's your own Bible verse for today? I would be like, and it'll be during like maybe something football is on or something's on TV that you really want to watch, or we had Nintendo, like we want to play Nintendo. It's always in those times that she said, yeah, come, it's time for Bible study. these are all things that like I attribute to her, like, greatly.
So one thing I kind of, in doing research, like I think something I heard you speak about, and I want to kind of probe on a little bit was, so you talk about like a dissonance. So like your dad obviously having come from money, and then this period where your dad passes away, and you're now in a kind of, obviously it's a bit of tough times. And then just like, how did that like affect your psyche, like growing up?
I think for me, I became kind of angry because I felt like I was the guinea pig in some ways, right? When I say tough times, I'm also like aware enough to know that like it's all relative, right? My brother and sister got sent to the UK for schooling very early, like age 9, to boarding school. And at the time, then my dad passed. And then at the time, when it was now time for my own secondary school, I wanted to get sent to the UK. I don't even know why at this point, like at age 9, like why would you want to go away at that time? But I really wanted to get sent to the UK. And then I not only did not get sent to the UK, I got sent to King's College boarding school. So I used to think, they hate me at home. Why is it always me? I'm the darkest one out of all my siblings. Maybe they're like, I used to just think of all these reasons why now that it's my turn, I'm not getting the same treatment that my siblings got. Also as well, I used to be angry in the sense that, we'll go somewhere and somebody will come and say, I was your dad's best friend, or me and your dad were best friends growing up. And at that time as a child, I'll be like, and how come we don't know you? And then my mom be like, Wale, keep quiet, like, that she'll usher me away, she'll apologize or whatever. But I used to think like, these guys are really like best friends. Why is he not helping us? Why is he not doing? And I think it took for me to grow up and experience life, to realize that life happens. Like there's some people that were my best friends 5 years ago that we don't talk anymore. There's some people that, like just had a very important role in my life. And we're no longer close. Like I wish I saw their kid, even Ghost, that I'm like godfather to one of his kids. Like I don't see them as much as I want to. My schedule, my life, so in as much as you could have best laid plans, life gets in the way. So, but back then I was just like, man, you can't trust anybody. You can't trust friends. Nobody's there for you. Like you have to do it by yourself. Nobody's going to come and save you. Like all of those things I can pinpoint in childhood where I used to just sit down and think those things and just be very angry at people, so yeah. So
now, one thing I'm curious about, so obviously these are things that kind of happen as a child, but you seem like well adjusted. So like, at what point did the penny drop that it's like, okay, you can't think like this? Or was there anything that triggered or inspired it?
I think one of the things that my mom did very well was, even if she would scold us or she's angry with us, she would sit down and we would need to discuss the action. Like, why did you do that? Why did you think about that? Why did you react that way? Why did, so like naturally, for some reason, I always have that thing. Like if I get angry in a situation or if I fight, or when I was in like secondary school, I used to fight a lot, right? Like a lot. And so, I realized that, like, what is the cause of this anger? What is the thing you're trying to, like, what are the things that are actually, because it could be something on the surface that makes you fight, right? But this can be your reaction to everything.
Yeah.
So then I'll now start to sit down and I'll start to think, okay, what really made me angry? Okay, the guy is my ego because the guy said something, or this person did this or whatever, and I've always had that reflecting thing. And I think as I've grown older, just experiencing life, making mistakes, like coming back to Nigeria to be a musician, like seeing individuals, learning, and then just the way then things turned around and then blessings started coming. I realize now, like if I look at the full picture, I realize now that, okay, those moments I even thought were like tough or frustrating or whatever were building me for something else,
Okay, so you're talking earlier about, your siblings moving to England when they were like 9, and you had to go as a teenager. But then when you went to Ireland.
Yes.
So what was that experience like for you?
it's funny because the same cousin I stole his comment. When I won't say we're cousins, we're like family cousins, quote unquote. But Bubemi, he got sent to Ireland, to a school in Ireland. And I just remember one day his mom telling my mom that number one is cheaper than England. Number two is a boarding school, it's Catholic, all boys. They're disciplinarians. Because again, I wasn't the most disciplined child. I was always one coming up with all sorts of scams and fighting and doing all these things. And I think King's College prepared me for that. And at the time I was in Atlantic Hall, I was meant to repeat the year. My mom didn't know because I had hidden my reports. I had tried to in case you would bribe people to give you exam papers, I tried to repeat that in Atlantic Hall too. It didn't work. And so they just thought going to Ireland would straighten me out. It's a Catholic boys' school, straighten you out, and they're disciplinarian. So that was part of the reason. But what was crazy is that the guys that were there at the time, my cousin and his friend who were there, when we got there, they had just got expelled for fighting.
Oh, God.
And they kicked the principal's car or something like that, and they got expelled. So even when we got there, they were like, you Nigerians that are coming, the last Nigerians were bad news. So they were extra on us as well. But it's Ireland, man. Irish people like to fight and drink, So all the things that they were sending me away from, we still met it there again,
Okay. So you go to uni in Coventry.
Yes.
But from a previous interview, you said you basically flunked.
Yes.
And you weren't going to school.
Yes.
You weren't being honest with your mom. So it's funny to me that all the things you said, this problem child, continue this thing as an adult.
Yeah.
But so talk to me about that period in Coventry. I mean, it's one thing for you to flunk. It's another thing, what you're saying, where it's you didn't.
So I went to Ireland, and then in Ireland, I just wanted to connect with there was no black people there. So for some reason, I also always wanted to connect with blackness, Nigerians. I just thought I just need to reconnect. I've been 4 years in this white Irish school. Apart from the Nigerians in my school and a few spotted around Ireland, we didn't really have any Nigerian community. There's no black people. When you see a black person on the road, it's so bad that you actually have to stop and say hi. Where are you from? I'm from Kenya. I'm from Nigeria. Nice to meet you. It was literally no black people whatsoever. And so I was just searching for community or some kind of, and so from Ireland, I didn't apply to any Irish schools. I applied to just English schools because I was now I finally get to go to the UK. This is where I've been wanting to go since. And then I got into Leeds University, and then I got into Coventry as my second choice. And then a friend of mine, Tax, part of our extended crew, he called me and it was like, I heard you got into Coventry. I'm going down on one day, and would you want to come down with me to look at accommodation? I was like, no, I want to stay in student halls. Guys, and it's only nerds that stay in student halls. We should get our own house, And I said, okay, cool. So I went down with him. And I remember that day as well, it was crazy because we were at Euston Station, and then I decided to smoke Igbo for some reason. And I was outside the station smoking, and two plainclothes guys just came and hey, man, have you got a lighter? I said, yeah. Now brought out their badge and their police. That was the day I never forget that day, because that was the day I was first going to Coventry. So that should have been a sign to me that you are actually, and so they just confiscated our weed, gave us a warning or whatever. And then we go to Coventry. And then we get a house. Some old Jamaican lady gave us a house. And I just remember the first day I got there, even before I got there, the day after we went, my friend Tana called me. He's like, come, I want you to meet some of the guys in Coventry. So we get there, and it's a lot of Nigerian guys. One of my close friends who passed away, Adela Randolph, SOJ, just different guys who in that time in the Midlands.
SOJ as per the rapper?
No. There's a guy called Soji. There was a bunch of guys who were the guys in the Midlands where Coventry is located at that time. They were just known as the guys. Chuka, SOJs, Sean P, different guys. So, and I'd been hearing about these guys in like social circles. So now I'm in a room with all of them, and I'm only like 17. They're all older than me. They're all like drinking, chilling, talking. There are girls around. It was someone's house in North London, and they were all driving down to Coventry Convoy, like on side, you know. And I was just like, yeah, man, this is the life I've always wanted. Like that type of guys that, you know, these are my guys. I found like my guys, you know. And so I rejected going to Leeds. I went to Coventry. There are more Nigerians in Coventry, so, and it was very much a party town.
Yeah.
You know, everybody would buy the latest car, like secondhand cars. That time we thought were mad cool. And then, you know, that's also where we started. I started rapping in Dublin, but just for like girls and people in my school. But then I got to Coventry and they were like, we rap, and there's rap groups now. And I joined a rap group, and then I started going to parties with these guys. And my friend Adeola, who was there, really taught me how to like dress and taught me how to like talk to girls. So, and it was really like, bro, like after it was like the craziest thing now when you think about it, because it was like a boot camp for like, I remember we would drive on the streets, and me and 10 Attacks were like the younger guys in the back seats, and they'll see a girl walking on the street and, okay, your turn now, go out and talk to her. And then you just have to jump out of the car, and like all your boys are watching in the car, so you have to go and talk to her and collect phone number. And if you collect phone number, everybody will be hailing you, so you come back and you're like, you know, just all these type of things that like at the time I just got caught up, you know, like I got caught up in the partying. We go to Nottingham, we go to all these places. And yeah, it was just impossible in that environment for me. Some people still made it through and graduated. A lot of them did. But for me, I just couldn't. Like, I was probably smoking weed a lot more then. I was like, you know, partying a lot. I was doing all the things you don't do to succeed and pass the university. And I spent 2 years there, and I realized after the 2 years that I can't. I'd repeated again. I'd failed my first year again. And I'd even gone to Nigeria. Because they told us that, like, if you have like mitigating circumstances, you can pass. So I went, paid for like some death certificates, came back to school. Like, bro, I was actually, when I think about it now, I was tapped, man. I was actually very tapped. But thankfully, with all of that, there was someone I was dating at the time, and she just like, and it's funny because a lot of women have actually played a key role at certain moments in my life, but the person I was dating at the time was like, you can't continue like this. Like, first of all, you're different from all these guys. I was like, nah, these are my guys, man. I'm not different. I'm just, you know. And she was like, no, like, you can't continue like this. You can't, you know. And she actually helped me do clearing, like, which is a process. Yeah. She helped me do clearing, and then I got into Brighton. I didn't have money that summer, so she paid for me to even get the train to Brighton. I got the interview. They told me that I could come to Brighton. And so I just like completely left everybody in Coventry, left all my guys, left the life, and started again. And yeah.
What's your mom's response to this?
She got told that I had flunked. So I told her that, you know, that I'm transferring. I thought I'm changing course, right? My course was a 3-year course, but now I've failed year 1 twice. So but what they said to me was that they'll give me the opportunity to do year 1 again the 3rd time. So I now told my mom that my course now, that I'm shifting course to like a 4-year course. So I'm in year 2, but I still now have 2 more years.
Yeah.
So I figured at least if I could get through those 2 more years, I cannot just tell her, there's 1 more year again or whatever. Like, but I think one of my friend's moms found out or whatever and snitched and told her that like Wale has flunked or whatever. But by that time, I'd already made moves to like go to Brighton. So what she just did at the time is that she was helping me financially at that time, and then she just said, this one, Sha, you've made the choice to transfer. I don't even know what this Brighton is, maybe a good place, but you have to go and work. So I started working odd jobs. I was working like a bar, in a club, in a call center, you know, to actually like pay for stuff when I was in Brighton. But it was also good because it showed me that like I had to like figure it out on my own as opposed to, you know.
Okay, so you moved to Brighton. Brighton has like a reputation as the gay capital of the UK. Yep. And I'm imagining a guy like you who's come from Lagos. Like, I can imagine that's just like culture shock. But it's also coming at a time where essentially you're starting again.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your mindsets. Like, obviously, I feel like you've even kind of touched on that, but how that experience was for you. Like,
so I mean, it was, first of all, the first thing that sometimes I'm a bit of an extremist. So I started thinking, and I was like, oh, the reason why I've spent 2 years and I haven't done anything is because of Nigerians. So in this next school, I don't even want to be friends with any Nigerians. I don't want to know any Nigerians. I'm going to hang out with Oyibo people. I'm going to like reinvent myself in Brighton. But obviously, naturally, you always find your people, you know, so, but I've met a different kind of Nigerian. I say this, you know, with all due respect to my friends in Coventry, but like I met a set of people in Brighton who were unusually like high achievers. You know, like their own was not just like, I want to do well, I want to excel, you know. And so at first, that readjustment for me was very tough. Like, but if these are what all my guys are doing, then I can't now carry last. And I'm also very competitive. So I just like applied myself. I wasn't like, I don't think academia was for me anyway. I'll just say that. But I was able to apply myself, and I was able to like just get through it, like put in the work that I needed to like get through university this time. And I had a second chance, so I wasn't going to let the second chance go. And this one I think was also different because I was fending for myself. So the money is not, your mom's money that you can just spend and do whatever. I'll say Brighton really helped me being around people like that. It also opened me up to like different kinds of friends, like a different network. In Coventry, I didn't know anybody that was not Nigerian.
On the party scene?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody that was not Nigerian, specifically. Like when I go to the library, I hang out with Nigerians. When I come out, and the library, we just go and meet girls in Coventry, like, you know, so it was like, you know, like I didn't apply myself in any way. So here now, having to apply myself, meeting people, reinventing yourself, having friends that are from other groups that are giving you different perspectives. Brighton really played a significant part in my journey or story. Like, yeah.
Okay, so you studied finance, and upon graduation, you would end up moving to Amsterdam to work for Cisco.
No, I didn't study finance.
What did you say?
I studied business marketing with law.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I ended up working in finance.
Okay, so you would move to Amsterdam to work for Cisco, which is one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yes.
And I'm looking at it now, like in terms of the way the story, like this is like the redemption arc. Like you've done your time. It's like, you know, come out, got to the degree, got in a mad job. Yeah. And so what I want to know is like, particularly because now you're a creative, and how important was that foundation, the foundation of working in corporates, like for you?
I think the one thing that working in corporate did, and it used to stress me out when I moved back here and started working in the creative world. One, you know, today's a terrible example, but one, usually my timekeeping is like very, very precise. But beyond that, I think the idea of like rain, snow, sun, you have to wake up every morning and get to work. Like there's no, that time it wasn't all this like working from home or Zoom or whatever. So it's like you have to physically, if you feel bad, if you feel
It's funny
down,
because don't Cisco make a lot of like the tech for all that stuff?
They do, but back then they didn't give us that chance, you know. And it was just that like consistency of like you have to do it 360. Like, and I think that that's something that a lot of people in the creative industry lack, you know, because once pressure or a situation you don't really like comes, I see a lot of people fold, you know. Yeah. And I think that just that ethic of just like, okay, I have to show up tomorrow. There's no question of not showing up. Like you always have to show up. You know, you may feel terrible. And me, I was even like going to studio. Like I found a studio, there's a school called SAE, which was like a sound school.
Yeah, I have a cousin who went to the one in Oxford.
Yeah. So there was one in Amsterdam. So I found some students there that would let me record and produce for me or whatever. So I would go to like after work. Once I found that guy, and he was like, you can come to the studio. I was like, what? And it was a real studio. I mean, I'd been recording in people's homes and stuff before in Brighton. And so like I just started going to studios. After work at like 5, I'll go home, eat, change. And then by like 8 o'clock, I'll go to studio. I'll be in studio till like 2, 3 a.m., go back home, sleep for 4, 5 hours, wake up for work the next day. Like, and for me, it was like like I have to go to work because that's what's paying and that's what it. But I also have to go to studio because then I found this creative outlet or whatever. So I was recording like almost every day in Amsterdam. You know?
Okay, so eventually you quit that job and moved back to Lagos to pursue Show Dem Camp.
Yes, kind of.
So you'd met Mide in Coventry, I believe?
Yes, in Coventry.
You guys had the same rap name. That's the story.
Yes.
So how do you go from like meeting this guy who has the same rap name as you to being in a rap group with him and moving back to Lagos to come and pursue that dream together?
So the thing is that like I was in a different rap group initially. I was in a group called COV, called Champions of Versatility. And and it was my friend Adeola, my friend Tena, all of us were in a group, and we felt we were the baddest rap group in Coventry. We put out a mixtape at that time, and Ghost was with some other guys. There was a guy, I think a Caribbean guy called Nicky Nelson, who was at that time the baddest rapper we knew, full stop. And Ghost used to kind of hang with them. Another guy called Chris Beats, and then we had a guy called Lucci, who was in Nottingham, who would make music with. And so initially we were rivals more than anything. Like we put out our own mixtape, they would put out songs and stuff, and we're like, yeah, he's dope, he can rap, like, but we're better, you know. And when I left to Brighton, he was there's a few people that checked on me. Again, like I said, a lot of people, I don't even blame them for not checking on me because I didn't want to have anything to do with Nigerians, but like Ghost and my friend Adeola, there were two other people that really like kept up communication with me when I was in Brighton. And then I found a producer in Brighton. His name was Soulful Spider, randomly. That was his name, and he started producing for me. So I told Ghost, I told Adeola, I told all my guys that rapped, I found this guy. He's based in London. It was in Brighton the first year I was there, but they moved to London. So he let us come and record in his house. And the guy had amazing beats, you know. So we'd all just go to his house, meet up. If Adeola is around, he'll come, he'll record. But then it was just me and Ghost who kept showing up more. Like he'll call me, when can we get in the studio? I'll call the guy. The guy said, you can come this weekend. We'll now meet up. They'll come down from Coventry, I'll come down from Brighton, we'll record. And then just over time, I think like for many people that do music or did music at that time, I feel it was just like a nice hobby. You know, nobody actually really thought, okay, we're going to now, after school, we're going to take this as a job or as like a career path. So I think everybody just got jobs and moved and became serious, you know, and we were the unserious ones that stayed on the journey and never, you know, in some ways never grew up in a way. Ghost had moved back to Lagos. But before that, sorry, I skipped a step. Like when we were in London, when I was in Brighton, we did a song called Queen's Faces. And that song, at that time, we were called Loose Cannons. That was our rap name at the time. And we entered this BBC One Extra competition. There was a big, well-known DJ at the time called Ras Kwame. And we won the competition, and the winning prize of the competition was to hear a song played on the radio, on BBC Radio 1. And we were like, we have blown, it's over. Now, like, our song is on BBC Radio, like, but it gave us some, like, input us, like, actually, no, but we're sick. Like, this is not just our guys anymore saying we're sick. This is like,
this could be more than a nice hobby.
Exactly, like, you know, and so when I moved to, Ghost moved to the States for a bit, then moved to Lagos, then I moved to Amsterdam, and then I moved back to I came to Lagos on a holiday, and him and his guys at the time, who later became my guys, Femi and Tolu, they were doing a Two Face and Friends tour.
Yeah,
with MTN or whatever, and they were going around the country. And I remember like one day they called me and they're like, oh, you're in town, come, we have an office, and it was on, I think Mobolaji Bank Anthony or one of those places. So I get to this office, it's top floor of this building. It's like they hadn't renovated it yet, but it's like top floor, there's a view, and then they were like, yeah, look at this place or whatever. You see this room here, that's your office. I was like, my office. And they're like, yeah, they're like, you know, when you join us, you're the only missing piece in the link. You know, we need you to come and join us. We're going to tour. We're going to do it with Two Face, and then...
So they were producing the tour?
Yeah, they were producing the tour.
Okay.
They were putting it together. They were like... And then the guy, Femi, one of my close friends, he showed me like a contract from like MTN and just showed me one part of the contract, and I saw the part of the contract, and I saw like $1 million. And my mind was blown. I can't even lie. Because again, like at the time I was getting paid well at Cisco, but I was like, these guys are my age and they're already, I didn't really think that obviously the $1 million to do a concert doesn't mean that you are going to take $1 million home, you know, but in my mind, I also saw $1 million. I was like, wow, these guys have this office, you know, they're showing me this lifestyle. I went out with them in Lagos as well. The reason why they started becoming called Show Dem was because they were popping champagne, like that life. And then a part of me was like, yo, I can see, like I've always wanted to move back to Nigeria anyway, but I can see, and I love music. And these guys have this tour, and they said they've already signed like P Square. I was really just getting into Nigerian music at the time, so I was a huge fan of Two-Face already. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to do this one. And then after we do it with Two-Face in Nigeria, we're going to Africa and doing African tours. And then we signed P Square, and then we're going to do African tour with P Square. And I was just like, yo, like, I went back to Amsterdam. I still worked for like maybe, because I think I left my job in March. So it was Christmas holiday I came. So I went back in January, stayed for 2 months. But it was 2008. There was like financial crisis.
Okay.
You know, like some things went down in work that I didn't really like. And I just kept thinking, like, but my guys have $1 million in Lagos.
You know,
like,
yeah, someone's telling
I'm
me
here,
whatever.
Yeah, like I'm struggling, like, you know. And so they kept calling me, the tour is about to start, the tour is about to start, the tour is about to start. And then I thought about it, I was like, okay, you know what I can do? I can take a sabbatical from work for like 6 months, go with them on the tour, see if I like it, and then
Make a permanent decision.
Yeah. So I did that. And at the time as well, in Amsterdam, they had promised me that after my 2 years there, I'll get to move to London with the job, because I just wanted to go back to London. And they moved somebody else to London instead of me. And so I felt like these people even just shifted the goalposts on me. No, I'm going to go home. I'm going to, you know. So I went back and joined them midway through the tour. And then I've never gone back to work at Cisco. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a meme. And that meme is very strong in this day and age about your Egbon, who tells you all this, like, you know, these nuggets of wisdom. But I have my own conspiracy theory.
Okay, what's your theory?
That you are that Egbon.
Okay.
Because that's a role you play for like a lot of people.
Okay.
So there's a long line of creatives who almost essentially owe part of their creativity to the fact that their parents were like, you know, let's talk to Wale. And Wale is the person who comes and co-signs. It's like, this guy is sicko. Like, let him do this thing. So what I want to know is essentially how you became that Egbon and what's that responsibility, what does it mean to you?
Okay. So first of all, I'm not the Egbon in our song. I want to put that out there. That is not me. I think that, like, specifically with regards to the Egbons, specifically when I moved back to Lagos, when we were doing music, when we decided, okay, the tour stuff didn't work, now it's 2 of us at Show Dem Camp, like we have to get in the mud now and dig this thing out for ourselves. Everybody, family, friends, girls, everybody thought we were crazy. Even like my friends, all these guys that I said like were like high achievers, they were like, are you okay? Like you've now graduated, you told us that you're going to Africa to do this big company or whatever. Now you're rapping in Nigeria. You know, like everybody thought we were crazy. But I had a few uncles that somehow, I don't know if they fully believed in me, but somehow allowed me like do that and didn't talk to me like I had bumped my head or something. Like they genuinely were like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you can move. These are the challenges I foresee. These are the, you know. So those guys till now, forever, like I give them all the, whenever their children want tickets, whatever it is, they want to go to Tems show, like I'll sort out everything for them because they were the only people that really, really believed. And I think that having people believe in you when you start, people don't understand how significant it is for you because you're like me. I feel like for a lot of years when I first moved to Nigeria, I was in brace position. I'm not looking left, I'm not looking right. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want anybody, even going to weddings would become like stressful because and it's not even like intentionally stressful, but they can just tell you, Jide just bought the new Benz, man, or this guy just bought AP, and then you have your Kia, you're struggling, rapping, like, you know, you now feel like, you start feeling self-conscious, you know, so I'm even like, I can't even go to these places that I start doubting my own choices anymore. I have to like tunnel vision through this. So I only had a small group of like friends who then were music friends, who are going through the same craziness as us, right? And I think because of that, like, the position that I wanted to play for people was the position that I hoped somebody would have played for us, you know, in a lot of ways. Like, who are the guys that took us under their wing? And to be honest, like, to some extent, like, people like Sound Sultan, Two-Face, those guys, like, I would say they featured on our songs. They drove down to the studio to work with us. They didn't have to do any of that. Like, I would say they took us under their wing.
But it validated what you were doing.
But it validated what we were doing 100%, you know. And so for me, it's like, you know, when, you know, the famous one is always like Ladipo, and his mom knew my mom, so I should come and meet him. And, you know, and I met him, and I thought it was going to be whack, like, if I'm being honest. Like,
did you get a lot of those that, like, the kids ended up being whack?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very much so. Very much, yeah. Like, and so I thought, like, honestly, because the guy looked like just like a quiet, chilled, like, guy. He was studying medicine in the US. So I was like, oh, man, like, but my mom really likes his mom. So my mom was like, there's a lady, a really lovely lady in my business. She was doing some Lagos business school thing. There's a really lovely lady in my class, and her son too is into this music thing, and she wants you to just talk to him, you know. And I was like, and my mom didn't really like ever speak to me about my music. So the fact she was like saying, I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it, sure. So I went and met him, and I was just like, you know, like if this music is whack, I can, like, I organized a meeting in a place where, like, Chicken Republic car park or something. Like, if this meeting is whack, I can at least get some Chicken Republic and go home. So, and then he started playing me the songs, and I was like, yo, this guy can really rap. Like, this guy can really, really, really rap. I mean, he was working with, like, producers in the US at the time, so it was very hip-hop, like, Little Brother, Slum Village type of vibe, but he could really, really rap. So I was just like, man, like, you should. I don't even know if that's what his mom wanted. I think maybe his mom was thinking I would dissuade him, but, like, I was like, yo, bro, like, you should come to studio with us. You should, you know, and then we put him on Feel Alright, which was his first, you know.
Classic record.
Yeah, you know, and so... Yeah, so I mean, so for me, it was just trying to take that position for people, you know, like, and I think that, you know, it's still kind of what I'm doing now in different capacities, you know, yeah.
So, the permanent big brother. Another thing that kind of, I think, is something anyone who listens to your music and even listens to this conversation will pick up on is the feeling of being counted out. So maybe it's dating babes and them not thinking you're serious because you're trying to rap. It's like, look at this fool.
No, that happened a lot. That happened a lot.
And even I'm sure with your guys, because even the anecdote you were like saying earlier on, like, how did you navigate that?
I think my guys was the most painful one. Not because they didn't shun me or do anything like that. No, they're still my guys. A lot of them are still my guys till today. But I think what happened was, again, like, in playing this role, in any group I've been in, secondary school, primary school, all of that, for some reason, I'm always in, I wouldn't say I'm the leader, but I'm always in, like, leadership positions, right? And what that means is that sometimes if people want to, like, process certain thoughts or business things they're doing, they come to me, we sound like as a sounding board, you know. And the thing that I felt was most painful is that they stopped using me as a sounding board because I'm sure they thought, like, okay, this guy must be dumb now. He's made this horrible life choice.
Decision making go from like 100 to like minus 20.
Yeah, and then they'll give, like, you hear that, okay, these people are doing this business thing together. This guy brought this opportunity and spoke to these other people. So a few times I'm like, why didn't you speak to me? I was like, oh, I didn't think that was what you're into, you know. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not, like, I'm rapping, doesn't mean like I'm brain dead, you know. But again, like, over time, I realized that, like, you know, for people, like, for them, maybe it's just like they were, you know, it felt like in a way like they felt I had opted out of the race to take an easy life. Because at that point, you kind of look at artists as okay, they're not going to work, they're not doing the 9 to 5, they're probably just, and at that point as well, there weren't that many like models or like of success that you can look at and say, okay, this is what he's trying to get to. For me, I feel like being counted out, I think it really doesn't matter anymore. I think because if you see, I always say like I see something with like artists and people, right? Like, and sometimes I even see more for them than they see it for themselves. Like there's some people that I'm just like, man, I can see this guy like on his stage with like a stadium full of people chanting the lyrics or whatever. I can see this person winning Grammys, or I can see, you know, like, and these are all dreams that like at a point were completely irrational or unreasonable, you know. But now as things, there's so many things that like that we spoke about in that time that have manifested now that I'm like, oh, so we weren't crazy. The only difference is that like some people opted out of the race. Like there's so many talented people I can name from when we first started.
I mean, I can use an example. Like I was talking about when the energy you guys were on when I first moved back to Nigeria, and like one of the first like musical things I fell in love with was a collective, which was that I think Chin put that together, right?
Yes, Chin did.
Yeah, like which was like this. That was Altair before we knew what the fuck Altair was. Like that was just a collection of, like, I mean, every day you go on Twitter, people are like, where's Timmy Dollface? Like, it's, there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah, and for whatever reason she doesn't pursue music or left the limelight or left the spotlight, you know, for whatever reason, and she could be in a much better place. Like,
no, I mean, everyone's reason is valid.
Exactly. But I look at it sometimes and I think, man, like, that's somebody who was like, again, really Altair before Altair. Like, that's someone that, like, you know, I feel like at the time, even when we were, I was like, wow, this person is like way more talented than me. That's how I used to feel at the time. Like, this person is way more, like, this person's talent. And when she, like, there's a song she has till now that, like, I feel when I do see her again, I'm going to beg her to allow me to, if not put it out as her, allow somebody else sing that song and put it out. It's such a beautiful song. And, you know, and I used to think, like, how are people this talented? Like, you know, like, and I think sometimes that's the problem as well, because if you are like, I believe that talent is a gift, right? And if you're blessed with that gift and you're not seeing the results of that gift, especially if, like, the results are here and your talent is like here, right? How do you, the space in between is too much for you to fill. So sometimes you're just like, you know, I can't even do this anymore. Yeah. I feel like maybe my talent was like here, and then the results have slowly now been meeting, you know, and then even surpassed in some instances, I feel. You know.
Okay. I think one thing that kind of stands out, and it was something I was talking to you earlier about, is like just the by the bootstraps mentality that kind of captures Show Dem Camp. So you guys were independent, like truly independent. It wasn't like, you know, there's like independent where if you read the fine prints, it's like you see, like, no, well, this one is like truly independent. And then I also even remember you making music videos for people. So that, like, you're so independent, you became a service provider, just as a way of kind of upscaling. And I think what I want to understand is where that mindset came from and what larger lessons did that season of life teach you?
Yeah. I don't even think it's like, I mean, on one side, yes, it is upscaling. On the other side, it's like survival. Like, there was a point where those music videos and the 500K I'll make here and 400K I'll make here and 300K I'll make here were how I was literally surviving. Like, you know, I remember once, like, there's an amazing singer, Neka. She came and she allowed me to shoot a video for her, and she paid me, like, at that time, I think it was like maybe like 500K, 600K. That was like my big break at the time. So, like, and I feel bad because I literally shot that video outside my house. I was so broke that, like, you know, I needed to pocket as much of it.
You didn't even do recce.
I literally, I found some nice locations outside because she was like, oh, this is a lovely location. I was like, yeah. after the shoot, I was like, I actually live here. I shot this in Bagada. We got disturbed by the Residents Association. Like then from there, but that was the first, like, because I was only doing Show Dem Camp videos at that point. And the reason why actually I started doing Show Dem Camp videos is because the first video we did was a song called Tell Me Nothing. And we got a director and we paid the guy. We had, like, this is now, we're super independent, but this time we mustered up, like, then because it was still early, so one auntie gave us 300K, one other uncle gave us 200K. We now saved up. One other person said we can use her. She'll provide the props. One other person said we can use, there's a place called Jazz Sessions or something, where one nightclub on Ozumba is now.
Is that the one the Kuboyes used to own? Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Is it? I mean, it might
not
be.
Jazz Holo.
No.
Yeah, Jazz Session. I think the Kuboyes used to own it. Yeah. They gave us that place to, like, shoot our video, like all of these things, right? Like, and so for us, we're like, okay, we've raised all this money, we shot this video, this director has promised us like heaven and earth with this money, and then the video came, and it was not what we expected. Let me just be diplomatic.
What's I ordered versus what's I got.
Exactly, and I remember, like, because the money meant so much to us, we didn't have a label backing us. We're like, no. We have to go and ride on this director. So we all drove to his house in Dolphin. We were ready to do something to him. Like, but he's going to sit down and re-edit it in front of us, So we drove to Dolphin. But it's funny because, there was another label head. I won't even say his name. There's another label head there coming with the same objective. So as we got there, the guy was bundling the director into his car. And we're trying to tell him, like, bros, we need our own pound of flesh. The guy said, no, this one, like, his own, I think I paid the guy for like 4 videos or something. So it was like him is bundling the guy. And so, like, we just ended up feeling like, I mean, the video still played on Sound City and Hip TV and all the platforms we had, Nigezie, all those platforms we had then. But it didn't look as nice as the other videos we saw on TV. It didn't play as much as we thought. We thought we had made it, like when we made that video. And so we now started a journey of, like, trying to learn how to do it ourselves. So there was like a New York Film Academy, NIFA or something, that they were doing a course in Abuja that year. And we managed to hustle up. My friend Femi actually, I think, maybe paid for me he did it as well. So he paid for me, and me and him went to this film school in Abuja for a year. For a month. But the thing about the film course is that the short film I did, because at the end of the course, you're meant to, with little resources, shoot a short film. The short film I did, like, won, like, the best, like, short film. It was a really random story, but it won. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm good at this, like, and then we got back to Lagos and we bought all these Canon 5D and 7D cameras, and we're like, we're going to start shooting all the SDCB. And that time, people were really shifting to these cameras to shoot content. So we started shooting music videos for ourselves. And it was very much guerrilla approach. Let us go on the street, pay some area boys and shoot in their area, And so we did. And it was just fun, man. Like, when I look back on those days, it was very haphazard, but it was very, like, it was fun. Like, today, like, if we want to shoot a video for Koyewa, let's all just go to this neighborhood and let's just shoot, and figuring it out. But what that did actually was another muscle that I didn't even realize. It just meant that I am able to shoot in areas that other people, like, I know how to relate when I get to, like, certain areas. I've shot almost every Lagos Island, Tinubu Square, or Balende Market, everywhere, like, on the mainland. Like, I just know I know the process of how to get there, how to sensitize the area, how to sensitize the guys in that area, how to find the one that is going to protect you and not actually scam you. Like, I learned that the hard way. And then from there, it got to now, like, Neka and a few people believed in me to shoot their videos. And then from there, it opened Bodge and all these guys as well. Then I shot a video for Fouls, Bad Gang, then Fumbi, Hallelujah. And then I started getting into it, like, really, like, because now the people are paying more money or whatever. But I always found, like, that it became challenging because your guys would tell you that I have 700K, come and run this video for me. this is all I have as your guy. So you be like, cool. Then when the big money comes,
They won't
they'll
call
go
you
to
again.
Clarence Peters, or they'll go to somebody that is a real video. Like I had to go to a real video director now, So it's just like, man, like, I don't see how, like I'm not going to be able to ever get to that stage because one, I'm not even being given the resources to upskill, right? Like whenever the resources come, they go like, so you become the guy that we go to if we don't have budget.
This game is cold.
Yeah,
It's so cold. And it's funny because what you're saying, someone did it to one of my guys and he still he still hurts about it till now.
Yeah,
like
bro.
just and so I think with SDC, one thing I really admire and respect was kind of like at the point where, people were talking about rap is in crisis, all this whole shebang. Instead of getting in that conversation, you guys just figured out, it's like, okay, we can innovate. And so you guys came out with palm wine music, which I think was something that has been very catalytic for you guys. But what I want to kind of understand is like, what was the mindset behind that when you guys decided we were going to, because it started as an EP. And then I think, were you guys, out of curiosity, were you guys surprised at how successful it was?
Palm Wine Music Volume 1.
Yes.
Yes. Because we did Feel Alright in 2013.
Yeah, which was like the gateway drug. Yeah.
And that song, like, it was funny because I've said this story before. We were going to go with another song called Gidiga that we did with an artist called Tillerman. And it was very much a reach for mass market in Nigeria. There was a local drink called Gidiga at the time. It was like, Alomo, like a version of that. So we're like, this is going to break into the masses, man. Like the masses are going to love us or whatever. But, it was actually Ghost that said to me one day when we performed the song, because we put the song out, it was on radio. And then Ghost was like, guy, I don't enjoy performing this song. I feel like this is the dumbest down version of me, And I was like, yeah, to be fair, like the BPM was like, I don't know, 120, 130. We're like rapping really fast. And it's just trying to simplify the lyrics to match with the sound of the song. And we were about to shoot a video for Gidiga at the time with Clarence Peters, because that's what you do. You shoot with Clarence Peters and you blow. So we had saved up, like, I think at that time it was like 1.5 or 2 M to shoot with Clarence. And we had some meetings with Clarence and he gave us a mad treatment. We were going to wear capes, we're going to be like Blade. We're going to be on top of a car and we're going to do it. Like, give us a mad treatment. And I remember at the time, something family-wise came up. Or maybe my girlfriend, I don't remember what it was at the time. Maybe my girlfriend had broken up with me. I don't remember what it was. But I had to go to London. And so my money out of the 2 million that I had saved, I had to use it for a ticket to go to London. And I was like, when I come back, we'll figure out And then when I was in London, I remember Ghost shared with me a video that Clarence had done for P Square. I think is Dancing Alingo. I may be wrong.
Okay.
But it was the exact concept that he had told us. So he was probably like, these guys are wasting my time. I'm going to use this concept for somebody else. So he did this concept for P Square. But what happened on that trip that was so crazy was I already had the beat for Feel Alright. My friend Femi actually found this beat on his laptop and he was like, yo, there's this beat we got from Ghana. And so I'd already written my verse for Feel Alright. And when I got to London, and I tried to give it to Burna Boy, actually. I had friends in Aristocrats. I knew Burna a little bit when that closed, but I'd been in his video shoots. And so I sent my guys to like give him the record, but he was just on his own come up at the time. Like that's when all his jams were like Run My Race and all of that. So because he was moving so much, he told us, I like the song, but I just hadn't had time to attend to it. So I get to London and I go to my friend's studio and Bodge came down from university. He heard I was in town, came down from university to come see me.
Something funny?
Yeah.
Budge and I were in uni together.
That's crazy.
So, like, that period,
yeah.
I can even tell you because it was like first year,
yeah.
Budge was in school.
Yeah.
Second year wasn't in school.
Yeah.
That's when his Budge on the microphone. That's
yeah.
when that it dropped. And
yeah.
like basically,
it
was crazy for him.
Yeah. He came down on the train actually, and I remember like I have this one song actually. Let me I think because he was doing something over another beat, and I was like, actually maybe you could be, because I don't think we had worked together then.
Yeah.
You know, and I just heard his tone of voice, like it was very husky. And what I wanted Burna Boy for on the song was he also had
as
a
that,
deep tone.
yeah.
So I was like, maybe you can try it, you know. And then he was like, let me hear it. And then
C-A-N-R.
yeah. And then he went and then he came back and he just like delivered the hook. And I was like, oh shit, like we have something. So I had a verse and his hook. Then I was like, okay, you know, Ghost, I think I have something. Like, and I kept, for me, I think my only thing with A&R is actually just, if I can't stop listening to something, like then it must be good. If like by the 15th listen, I still like it as much as the first, if not even more, then I'm like, oh, then it has replay value because I get tired of songs quickly, you know. And so I just kept listening to this thing with just my verse and Budge's hook. And I was just like, Ghost, man, we have something, man. I actually think this is the one. And he was like, no, but we're shooting a goodie girl. And I was like, nah. And then I was like, I played it for him. And he was like, thank God, man, because I didn't really want to do this with goodie girl. I don't know how to tell you, you know. So then he put his verse. I think either he or Ladipo, one of them put a verse on next. And then I think Ghost finished it. And then we decided that because we don't have the full money for Clarence, now at this point I've eaten into the money. Like my own, maybe now I had like, I don't know, like 400K left, because flights to London that time were relatively decent. I had like 400K left. Ghost probably had like $1 million left. I convinced him to allow me shoot it, like with our, like we can't make up the money for Clarence anymore, so let's just use some of this money to shoot it and some of the money to promo it as well. So we shot it, and then we put out the song, and it just like went crazy, yeah. And then and after that, we had like Happy Weekend Start, which went crazy as well. Then we did
It's funny, you know, I watched Wedding Party 2 again, like last week. And that song, there's like a whole like bitterness. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. And so we did like another song, a Wale, which we went to Phil's produced that. It didn't do as well as like, so from Feel Alright to Happy Weekend, we're on a trajectory. And we started doing shows. They called us for Lagos Countdown. They called us for other shows, Eco Hotel, all the, you know. And so yeah, we're just on this trajectory. Like we started getting paid for music now, you know. So all of that time, from 2008 to 2013, we were not getting paid for music.
So that's like, 5 years old.
Yeah, of just like being
grinding.
Yeah, like, and so we started getting paid from Feel Alright, then Happy Weekend. It really didn't do as well. And then around that time, I met Ladipo introduced me to our producer Sparks because they were working together. And from there, he was like, well, the SDC that I like is Feel Alright SDC. It's like palm wine, you know. So I was like, yeah, I personally as well, that's the SDC I like too, you know. So let's try and like, and his sound was very much like Nigerian, like he was really tapping into high life and other things. So I was like, yeah, let's try. So we did palm wine 1. I did not think, the one thing I thought was, I had an epiphany when I was performing there was a show called Music Meets Runway at the Hotel. And it was funny because the stage was like a runway.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, and I was on the runway performing, I think it was a Happy Weekend, sir. And we're there rapping. And then I just see this lady, one of the guests, because you know how they'll put the tables in the front.
Yeah.
You know, this lady was just eating her food and she was just looking at me like, but the look she gave me was like, who is this miscreant? You know? But it helped me because I was so thrown by it. Like I was mid-rap, I was like looking at her like, yo, like I'm actually here like trying to
impress you, yeah.
You, and you are just here like I'm like your side cost, like I'm somebody disturbing your meal, you know. And I just thought about it. I was like, first of all, like this is not our crowd. Like this isn't our crowd. Like, and actually, I would rather we just start performing to our crowd. I remember all these shows, I'll say to them, I'll be like, can we bring band? And they'll be like, no band, just DJ. I'll be like, what if we are paying for the band ourselves? They're like, we don't have backline. We're not. So I was like, so the things that I enjoy the music, like I enjoy the Roots, I enjoy like Jay-Z, like all these artists, I'm just like, how are we ever going to get there? Like we're not even allowed to perform in the way we want to perform, right? And the people that we're performing for don't even like us. Like, so I would rather just like, and it was at the same time we're making palm wine music. I was like, I'd rather just like do a small show and get our own people there and like we'll sell palm wine, we'll make money from selling palm wine at the show. And
That
then,
first show,
yeah,
I was telling someone this is the best show,
Yeah.
like one of the best shows I've been to in Lagos. And I think I've come subsequently, and I can't lie, I prefer the more like that first one.
Yeah.
Just because now it's so big that
Yeah.
it's not as fun
As-
as it
yeah,
used to be.
yeah.
But that first one, bro, like honestly, you don't know what to.
No. You know what's crazy is that like this year we started palm wine sessions again.
Yeah.
Right? Because I actually even missed that like level of like
I was really sad I missed the one because I think I landed that night.
Yeah, at
the
Baturia.
the one at Baturia. Because
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, "How is this?" And they're like, "You're so mad." I
Yeah,
really
like,
wanted to come
I
to
miss
that.
like I have a concept or a theory that everybody wants to scale, right? But some people, it's questionable, but some people, scaling does not necessarily mean going wide. Like, and what I mean by that is like with Palm Wine Fest, there was one year that we really wanted to like, we're aiming for like 10,000 people or whatever, And I started then thinking that when it was like 2,000-3,000 people, we'll break even, maybe make a bit of profit, like sell merch, bring vendors, make some money off that. It's not like we're making huge amounts, but every year we have enough to put money in our pockets, put money in all our people that helped us with the show, their pockets, and start the year with, But when we try to like make it like huge, the added pressure that came with that. Now you have to think of more security. Now you have to think of then that year there was another show that like an incident happened or whatever. So when I even Lagos State, when I was going a bit crazy, like like you have to get this permits and this other permits and this other thing, And so for us, like it just like it became a bit more like a bit less enjoyable, And I actually then thought like, man, I just really want to perform music with my people in a space, right? And I think the main thing about scaling is that, yes, for some people, like Burna Boy is built to be an arena artist,
Yeah.
right? I think that, I went to see this folk artist in the UK last week perform, and it was a very like intimate setting. It was seated. It almost felt like it was telling us his story and playing the music. And I was like, this is the perfect setting for this guy's music. Like I don't see this guy playing an arena. And maybe it could be an arena, but it would still be configured
like this, yeah.
in that kind of way. And so for me, I think that like I just enjoy, as an artist, I enjoy performing more in an intimate setup. Like Baturia was still like 400-500 people. So it's not super intimate like the first few Palm Wine Fest or whatever. But it just meant that like, one, we're not pressured for time, which always happens in Palm Wine Fest, because by the time all the 100 artists finish performing and it's time for us to perform, it's almost like midnight. Then we too were a bit crazy, so we're trying to do a 2-hour, 3-hour set. Then by 2, it's now just the diehards that are left. Because,
That first one, I think one of the things, it was like a lasting image I have was, first of all, because of how intimate it was, it didn't take much for you to be close to the stage.
Yeah.
But then another thing I remember was I hadn't seen MI perform in a long time. And I saw him that day and I was just like, God damn it, this guy is the fucking GOAT. Because his stage presence, like even, like bro, like we're having this conversation how many years later, like from his peak.
Yeah,
but
100%.
when he touches the
100%.
stage, the way he like his stage presence, I think I came out of it with like renewed appreciation for him. But it was just honestly, I can't speak highly enough of it. It was just one of those you had to be there, like
we didn't have a
experiences.
backstage. People were backstage with the artists. Like, that's how crazy it was. And that one we curated it. So it was like Odunsi performed, Santi performed, Pretty Boy Dio, Black Magic, Lynx, MI, Dija. Like they were just like all our friends. It was like, guys, we're going to do this show. People didn't realize that on that first Palm Wine Fest, the stage was falling apart.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, it was actually MI, because MI was jumping. Right? And the stage was falling apart. So we had to figure out like you literally when you were performing, you felt like you're surfing because the stage was moving so much. But it was super DIY, but it felt like community. It felt like we're actually in the midst of everybody. That was the first show my mom ever came to watch us perform as well. So it was actually like, she used to show that, you've been doing something, Sha, all these years. Like, and she kept calling my siblings. I've seen Wale, they all knew the words to his song. They were all there, you know. I feel like that was the day she realized that, okay, these guys haven't just been time wasting all these years, you know.
The thing is, I was going to ask you about the power community, but I think you've already said that. But one thing I want to kind of look at is like a lot of the things you do are partnerships. So you're a partnership with Ghost, you're a partnership with Muyiwa, you're a partnership with Fumbi, you're in a partnership with Akinola, your brother. And in these partnerships, what do you see as your role?
I think that it's different for each like situation. Fumbi is somebody that, like, I would say is my ideal partner. And what I mean by that, so no knock to Ghost, no knock to Muyiwa, to my brother, to any of them. But it's really, I remember when I wanted to start Fatherland, and a friend of mine, we were talking, and I was like, oh, I want to bring my guys on board or whatever. And she said something at the time. She was like, your guys have the exact same skill set as you. So you need to bring somebody who brings something else completely different to the table, right? And, you know, the first time I worked with Fumbi, I was like, okay. Because with film and production, so I started Fatherland, we were doing commercials, we were doing like big jobs, we did the first art text or visual communication, we would do like work for like different brands. I always used to struggle with like budgeting and numbers and asking.
So the operational stuff, like the structure stuff.
I didn't even know how to like because I've come from this ground up where getting paid 500K was a win at some point, right? I didn't even know how to like call big money for people, right? But Fumbi will be there, she'll be like, yeah, it costs 10 million. I'll be there like, what? But I'll compose, and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, we can maybe do 9. And I'll be like, damn, I would have asked for 3, but you know, so like there are just certain things that she brought that like, I realized that, I'd been undervaluing myself. I actually didn't have the confidence to first of all, to discover my value and articulate my value to people. I always would cringe if I had to say big money. I didn't know how to like do all the operational sets. I didn't really care about like payroll and requisition forms and invoices,
Excel, all that stuff.
Like I did not care about any of that. And she is very structure driven, right? Which enables me to be creative, right? And I can go to sleep knowing that the structure is taken care of. And, you know, and like with Ghost, we're both creative, you know? So like when it comes to Show Dem Camp, we've had to then build a team of people to handle some of the structure part, you know? With Muyiwa, we are actually, like I'll say that's like a really surprisingly good collaboration, because I didn't know, you know, there's the Muyiwa that you guys see online, right? Like there's Muyiwa that you guys see online, but then there's a depth and principles, and you know, there's a lot of alignment, I would say. Like, and I think that when we first met, because I also was seeing the Muyiwa online, I wasn't sure how deep our alignments could be, you know. But as every single like corner we turn or situation we turn, and we say, okay, we need to go left, and it's like, yeah, I think we need to go left as well. Oh, we're aligned. Like it didn't, you know. We align, and as well, I think as well, he also has that same thing with Fumbi where, you know, like, I think he brings something different to the table. I think that in every organization, you need a Muyiwa or you need a chin. Someone that like will go and say, do you know this is the best thing since sliced bread? Like, do you know this is the most amazing thing ever? Do you know that like, or like they see Jay-Z and they can just go, hey, Jay-Z, how fun now? How are you? You know, like, where I'll be more like circumspect. I'll be thinking, okay, so I don't want Jay-Z to think I'm a fan. I don't like, I don't, like, but Muyiwa is like, I remember like the time Tems and Rihanna first met at something in New York or whatever, like, Muyiwa was one that literally, like, you just go straight to the person. Like, do you know who this is? Like, and he just has like this confidence, like this really, this really strong confidence that I think, meshes well with me being more observant. Like, I need to know if I'm in the room, I have to first observe the room. Okay, who is the person? Like, who is the person actually pushing the buttons here? Like, I never want to show myself until I understand the setup.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always bode well for show business. I think because there's still
because you can't understand everybody before you
exactly.
come.
So I think that we complement each other well. But when we have to make key decisions, I find like great alignment. And also the funny part is that a lot of people think that the partnership is myself and Muyiwa, but the actual truth is that it is actually a business partnership between myself, Muyiwa, and Tems. So the dynamic of it's not, yes, we're managers, but we're also business partners. And so we bounce ideas off each other, we bounce strategy off each other, and then we push forward.
Why do you think those partnerships have proven so successful?
I think because I'd been to a lot of partnerships that were not successful, and I realized what I require for good partners.
Okay.
I think the first thing that, is principle-wise and like principle-wise, we have to be aligned. I think that's the first thing. And there's moments where, I don't know if I ever said this on, like, I remember there was a time I was in London in the pandemic, and Tems went for a show.
Is this Uganda?
No, they were in Lagos, and so some bank MD called them for a private bank, one of these bank shows or whatever. So they went to go and perform there. And, I've been used to so many artists where, like, for example, maybe one of my egbons wants to book an artist, right, for his Christmas party in Banana Island, and the artist would tell me, I'll do it for this amount, but my only rule is that there's no pictures and no social media. And the reason for that is because that artist may have a label, but he wants to die the money himself.
Yeah.
So he's collecting that bread. His label are not going to know anything about it. It's a private show.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? He's made the money. So me, that was the orientation of like artists that me I had seen. So it was funny. I was in London at the time, and I just asked. I got an alert. So I'm like, what is this or whatever? And it's from Tems. So I call her, and it's like early days when we're all still like on the grind. Like
your founder mode, locking in.
Yeah, like we don't have money. At that point we're still just bootstrapping. And she sent me, might have been like maybe 400K or 500K or something. And I said, what's this for? And she said, we went to this bank. Didn't Muyiwa tell you, like, this bank person? Because Muyiwa told me that, he told me at the initiation of the conversation.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that, okay, I'd gone through and they had gone.
It happened,
or whatever. Yeah. So she's like, I went to this bank person or whatever, and he paid the money, and I've sent you guys your share. And for me, it was a very small thing, but I realized that, I can trust this person. Because I was not there. Muyiwa handled the booking.
You weren't in touch with the details.
I wasn't in touch with the details. I didn't go with them to the physical thing, right? And I'm in a different country. So if Muyiwa didn't tell me at the beginning and she didn't tell me at the end, I would not have even known that something went on, right? But I realized then, and it's a very similar story with Fumbi as well, like the first time that we worked together, because I recommended her to somebody who came in from the US. And because I was traveling that year, and the guy was coming to do a show, and I recommended her. And then the guy came back the next year, and he was like, "Hey, Wale, do you want to meet up for a drink?" I said, "What are you doing in Nigeria?" I said, "I'm doing a production." I said, "Why didn't you call me?" The guy said, "Well, I thought you had stopped doing production." So I said, No, I just stopped for that period. I didn't stop forever." And then the guy was like, "Oh, damn, but I've already called the babe, Fumbi, that you recommended, and she's already taken on the job or whatever. But you know what? I'd love to still work with you on it. I've already committed with her. So maybe if you call her and she's down to work with you. Maybe we can find a way for both of you to work on it together. And I called her, and like a lot of people that I know will be like, I'm going to share this bread with this guy. Like, but she didn't even hesitate. Like, she was just like, oh yeah, of course, now you're the one that gave me this thing in the first place, It's little things. For me, I'm very, very principle-led. And so if I see people have integrity, like, I'm like, you already won, like, from the beginning. And I think that's one thing that in all the partnerships I have is consistent. Everybody that I work with has to have integrity, and if they don't, then I can't do it. And sometimes there's like there's artists that will call me like, yo, I'm about to free this, my manager, I want to come to you. I'm like, bro, have you spoken to your manager? No. Nah, then I can't do it because that guy has been with you in the trenches. At least for whatever reason, you want to free him. You owe them
that conversation.
Yeah, like, why would I be the guy that does that? But other people will do it, cut through, they will cut your neck and take your artist. In fact, like, there'll be many people who have tried to, like, but yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so there was one more thing, but I think it kind of segues into us talking about Tems, so I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So this season of your life has now been seeing you play the big brother role again that we're talking about to an artist who is undoubtedly one of the greats of our time.
Yeah.
So I think just out of curiosity, so I'm just like, okay, how did you first, like, what was your first like meeting or entry point into Tems?
Right.
Like the music, and then what made her so special?
I think my first meeting point was, shout out this girl, she doesn't talk to me anymore, but some girl I was dating at the time played me Tems' song, Mr.
Rebel. Okay. Yeah.
And it was one of those things where, like, I'll play a song, and this girl felt like she knew music more than me for some reason. So she would always play me all these, like, SoundCloud artists.
Also deep cuts.
Yeah, like all these Aliana, Baraz, people that I've never heard of. So she would hit me with one, I hit her with another one. She hit me with one, I hit her. So then she now passed the phone, and then she now played Mr. Rebel. And I just remember thinking that whoever this person is singing for their life. Like, this is not just like, yeah, like, like, this person is singing for freedom. Like, because this is not like, I still say to Tems a lot that, like, if it was my perfectionist nature, the song could have been mixed better. There's certain pitch correct, like, there's different things, but it just felt so real. Like, this person is not trying to give you all the niceties. There's no auto-tune on the voice. Like, this person is just singing for their life. So I said, wait, who is this? She now said, oh, one girl that I saw her perform at, like, 90s Baby, like, last week or 2 weeks ago. So I said, well, this girl's in Nigeria. She said, yes. I said, what's her name? She said, oh, like, now you've seen that I've trumped you, right? Like, I've given you one you didn't know about. I said, yeah, cool, what's her name? She now showed me Tems Baby. So I went on Instagram. And sometimes, like, with music, again, I don't want to say that it is, like, I would boil it down to God, intuition, but I think God also has a part to play in intuition. I just was really moved by Mr. Rebel, and immediately I just started calling everybody. So I looked on her Instagram, she's doing covers. I see, like, a friend of mine from university at Brighton actually, like, hearting stuff, and she would heart it back. And so immediately, as the girl was sitting next to me, I call
that person.
This other person. Her name is Felicia. I'm like, do you know this Tems Baby person? She was like, yeah, that's my cousin. I said, oh, okay. She said, oh yeah, that I don't even know why I haven't even thought of you. Like, she's trying to, like, get into this music thing or whatever. And, I've been trying to connect her with labels and people like that because she just moved back from South Africa. And yeah, she meets with you. So I said, yeah, cool. So immediately, I said, yeah, for sure. Like, connect us. I think I slid in our DMs. I don't remember. But Felicia, I know, was one that connected us properly. And then I called Sparks. And at that time, I had a small studio in Ikoyi. And I called Sparks. And I'm like, yo, I want to play something for you. I just found this girl. She's crazy. And I played it for him over the phone. And her voice was so distinct that he immediately knew the voice. So I know this voice now. I drove this babe out of the studio last year now. I said, what? I said, no, it can't be the same person. He said, no, it's the same person. Her name is like Temi or something like that. I said, yeah, Tems, baby. He said, I knew her as Temi, that she came to the studio like last year. I drove her. I said, why did you drive her? I said, she didn't have money to pay for beats or production or whatever. So I said, no. So Tems now came back, maybe like a few days later, now came to the studio. And that day was like, I think Ladipo, Fumbi, Tommy Thomas, Sparks, we were all there. And I just remember like she recorded her and put out a song called Falling. And that day, the first day she met us, as she entered the studio, she like people was talking about the concept of the song, relationships, blah blah blah. And so she was talking and she didn't realize that like Poe is very sneaky. So the guy started recording the convo, right? So in Falling, you hear parts of that convo, like, so why do you feel you have to be the good guy? Do you think like you're acting as a good guy? So he used some of that recording and it was like, you know what, like Wale, who's this girl? And I said, some girl that I like, let me play your stuff. So I played Mr. Rebel. He said, I think she may be the one to jump on this record. And me, look, I was a bit mad because I was like, so the first record this babe is going to do is for Paul, but cool, like I can't be selfish. Like, you know, and she already started coming up with like melodies for it. So they went in, they did the record. That was the first day she came to the studio. And then she just kept coming back, you know. Later, she then said to me, like, it was the first time she felt like she had found like a music community that she could just work with, and they weren't creeps, like, you know.
Niggas, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and, you know, and everybody, you know, we just wanted to work and everybody just wanted to create. And, you know, and at that time it was very much like collective vibes. Like we were all in the studio at the same time. Everybody's working on stuff. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's put this babe on the new collective now. Sparks and Icon are working on the studio. Like, yeah, let's put it on the collective. So that particular collective now, where Tommy was around a lot, so he's on a lot of tracks on Collective 2, the second one. Then, you know, so she jumped on.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she jumped on a few tracks on that. Then at the same time, like her music, she put out Luku Luku. Then, you know, she was going to put out Try Me. And then a friend of mine, Larry Masha, had called me and said he's doing some work with Jameson and they want to support new talent. You know?
I was going to ask you about that because the reason I know this is because one day I was in the UMG office and I overheard someone say, Jameson gave Tems X amount of money to push this record, but I never confirmed it on the record. Yeah. But you just saying it now, like,
you have to give credit.
I mean, we know, but it's just...
you have to give credit where credit is due. So Jameson, what they did was that they wanted to like support a bunch of artists. So obviously me, first, when Larry told me Jameson wants to support some artists, shoot video for them, promote the song, blah, blah, blah. I was like, that Show Dem Camp, you know. So then he now came back and was like, no, they want young artists. So I was like, all right, cool. And so he said he's going to, I think TZ already worked there.
Yeah.
So I think DRB were one of the artists. And then it was Tems, and I think it may have been Damio New, I'm not sure. But I know Tems and DRB for sure, right? Or maybe Pretty Boy Dio, I don't remember. There was some other extra artists. And so the plan was that they would support a video by the artist. And so they picked Tems, and Tems was like, she wants me to direct the video, right? So we have a meeting with Jameson now. So then I give her a treat. We speak about the video. I write a treatment. She says, no, this treatment, we need to change this. That's okay, cool. Let me take a second stab at it. Day 2, here is the treatment. No, this treatment has to change. Okay, cool. I'll take another stab at it. Day 3, here is the treatment. I said, you know what? I can't do this video. Let's find somebody, you know, to do the video, because she has all of her videos, she more or less directs them, right? Like, so she has a very specific idea of what she wants, how she reacts to the song, what the visual should be. And she just knew this Try Me video. She knew what she wanted. So I then said, okay, let's do Demola Falomo. So we brought him, and so when we were having the meeting with Jameson, she didn't have a manager at the time, and so she had an email account that people would email her, but it was her
Manager in quotes.
Yeah.
So we know that format.
Yeah, so
Happy birthday to our CEO.
So that's how we went for this meeting. And in the meeting, I just kind of stepped in to like negotiate things for her, and we negotiated with Jameson. It was pretty easy because it was Lanre across the table. It was another Lanre at Jameson and a guy Sebastian. And we just had this meeting and we chopped it up and everything went well. They agreed to pay for the video, promote the video. And we're like, yeah, fantastic. They agreed on Demola as the choice of director. So everything we went in for in the meeting, we got. And then after the meeting was when she was like, so like, why didn't you just manage me? And because of like my history with trying to manage artists and trying to, like, I've worked with a lot of artists in an informal capacity before. But whenever I try to formalize it, that's when K-Leg will enter. And the K-Leg, a lot of times, is not even necessarily negative. It may be, I'll use Ladipo as an example. I'm sure you won't mind me saying it. It's like at that point in time, Maven came on the scene and Maven said, we want to sign you. And at that time, he's still working a 9 to 5. And he's like, look, bro, like, obviously we're a gang and we'll forever be gang, but this will allow me quit my job. This will allow me to let my family know that this thing is serious. Like, and at that point, like, being a friend, you have to...
You understand?
Yeah. You have to,
you'll be hurt because, like, it's an opportunity that you're missing out on,
exactly,
but you understand.
But you understand because I couldn't put anything on the table. I won't even tell you quit your job, bro. Like, I don't know where this is. Just that, like, stay at work, So, yeah, so, I mean, just things like that. Things just never really panned out in that way. Same thing, I had a cousin in the US who, was like bubbling at the time. His name is Ayo, and he had a song called Your Number.
Unavailable.
Yeah, Unavailable,
He's one of the first, like, Afrobeats to the world guys 100%. That actually blew up.
100%. Yeah. So before he even blew, I wanted to sign him. And then some guys now came in at the time that had a lot of money. And to be fair to them, they made those records go crazy.
Yeah.
So it was just always this thing that, like, whenever it gets to the final formalizing stage, something comes up. So I was just like, you know what? And then before that, I worked with Fumbi, and that went well, but we had just kind of, at that time, just parted ways. So it was now like, do I even really want to do this artist thing again? Whenever I try and do it, something always comes up. Then we've done it, we've parted ways. We didn't get to the destination where we wanted to get. And we put in a lot of time, effort. Everybody did. Fumbi himself, myself, Icon, who was working on the Sparks. And so when she came, I was a little bit wary, And also, I really like her as a person. So I also had this thing at that time, like, I don't want to disappoint somebody that I like as a person.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, like, if we're going to do, you need a contract. Should I get a contract? The next day, she brought a contract. I don't know where she got that contract. But this is before ChatGPT and all those things. Like, she brought a contract. The next day, we went back and forth on the contract. By the next week, we had signed a contract. And with other artists, even when it got to contract stage, it could get to like 6-7 months before the contract is signed. This one we had signed in a week. Like, everything she was very clear. Like, I want you to be the person, And I was just like, look, I'm still an artist. I can't do day to day. At that time, I was very scared of, like, even with my videos, I won't put my name.
Yeah, I remember.
I felt like you need to be known for one thing. I Show Dem Camp, and if some people know I direct videos, it will dilute Show Dem Camp. Or if people know I manage an artist, it will dilute Show Dem Camp or whatever. So, I was like, yeah, like, I can't. And then she was like, she has somebody she thinks would be a good co-manager. I think you guys should meet. And funny enough, Muyiwa and I, when we did Palm Wine Music 2, we did a song with Nonso Amadi, and he was the one that had to clear the song for us. And I just remember it being such a seamless process. Like, he got it. It was just like, yeah, cool. This is what we want. This is what it is. Boom. Agree terms. With a lot of people, I would say, like, Nonso Amadi and Muyiwa at the time, and Burna Boy's mom, those are the two easiest songs I've ever cleared in my life.
Well, clearing Legend.
Yeah, Legend, and we have another True Story.
Yeah.
Like those are the easiest songs I've ever. They were just. It's like it's business, but it's also they take into consideration who, like, the person is and who the person has been and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like so we then start working together, and I've been in the Nigerian music industry now since 2008. I've never seen.
It's almost 20 years. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy, bro. For real, for real. I've never seen anybody's rise be that instant.
As someone who's watched or covered this industry, I mean, maybe Rema, I think, but her, like, in terms of.
But the difference is with Rema,
there was the machine.
Yes.
Like, with her, like,
yeah.
Tems basically went from doing, performing at, what's the space called? Baba.
Yeah.
To having one of the biggest songs in the country within a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was just no looking back. And even, there were certain things that happened. I'll never forget. I remember when she got the native cover. I can't lie. I was like, I think it's a bit early now. She only has like 4 songs, like, or 3 songs, really. Like, this is a big call. Yeah. And that is honestly, I'll give them that. That's one of the most prescient calls that someone made.
Yeah,
like
100%. Shout out Shani for that.
Like that was just just something that connected.
Try Me also, I think it's also a thing where my theory is that up until that point, you had a lot of amazing women creating music. You can go back to Omomi, Waje, Tiwa Savage, Sheishe. Like, there were so many amazing women that created music. I think that, like, a lot of times, because of it being a male-dominated industry, I feel like a lot of women, again, I'm not a woman, I can't speak for them, but what I just perceive from the music side of it is that they felt like, you know what, for us to make our mark in this industry, we even have to go harder than the guys. We have to, like, make big records that are bigger than the guys, their records, and we have to, like, you know, play in this male-dominated game and ball in this male-dominated game. But I think why Try Me, in my opinion, was different is that it wasn't the perspective of the song from a lot of, like, women that I was close to at that time that would tell me, it felt very relatable because it was angry. Like, it was like rebellious. It was, you know, and like there had been no song from a woman at that time in the space, right? That, you know, again, I'm saying at that particular time, obviously all of us, no matter who anybody wants to say hotel, non-hotel, whatever, all of us, our origin is actually Asha, but I'll park that for a second. Like, but, you know, it was like rebellious. It was like, you know, and I remember we went to go and we did a performance somewhere in Lekki at some show. And that was when we were leaving the show. People started chasing the car. And I was like, oh, snap, like, shit has changed now for real. This is like, to me, like, I used to come to my house and, you know, like, now, like, people are chasing the car. People are, like, knocking on the window. And just from there, things just started, like, we just started moving. Like, we just started, you know.
So from there, the two things that kind of happened and that go hand in hand was she signs to RCA, but then she also cuts Essence. And it's almost like, I mean, it's almost like, again, when we're talking about, like, alignments, because it's like the fact that you signed to RCA, but, like, you've not even, that song ends up becoming such a monster hit that it just raises the bar because whatever it is you're going to drop next, there's a whole world.
No, there's some stuff happened in between. So from when she dropped Try Me, before we signed to RCA, we said that it was, so immediately she dropped Try Me, labels started coming. Like, and I was fielding meetings left, right. Some flew me to London, I was going to talk to them, some to America. I was fielding meetings from all of them. I started realizing that a lot of these labels is literally just a form of harnessing raw materials from Africa, and like kind of what's been going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't really have any real in-depth knowledge. Some of them did, and some of them would send their 1 or 2 black people or 1 or 2 Nigerians to Nigeria to come and see what's going on. But generally, the label RCA, there were 2 people. There was a lady, Sarah Lawrenson, who was the A&R that signed her, and also she was working with another super well-respected A&R called Tunji Balogun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like those 2 people, they came to Nigeria. They worked with were in the trend. Like they came to. I remember there was a show we're doing on one rooftop in Lekki. Atmosphere. Yeah.
The one we're in. I think. Yeah.
Like Sarah was there.
That story, like the lore around it.
Yeah,
that's like performance, the lore around it. Because I wasn't there, but I know of it.
Yeah. And Sarah, I remember she was carrying chairs and stuff with us. She really came to come and work.
This is what they flew her in for.
And so like, but we said to the label that it's very, very important for us to put out an EP first before we join them. Because I just got the sense that from a lot of labels that like the biggest mistake I think a lot of times when I say brand new artist signed to a major label, like one, because the artist has not been given the room to discover themselves without 10 other opinions, right? This is what I want to put out because this is what I feel like putting out. Not like, oh, this is the hit, this is single, we need to go with this, like, which is what a lot of these label conversations are. So it's like, and then the second thing is also because I feel from the label perspective, they need to know what they are signing. And a lot of labels don't. When we went to the first RCA meeting, I'll never forget, like Tems said something and everybody's jaw dropped and the room went silent for a second. And she said, I'm never going to make another Try Me. And all of them were like,
damn.
Like this,
who do we have here?
This is what we brought you here for, in a sense. Like, this is a song that, and then it took a second, and everybody was like, "Yeah, of course." Like, you don't need to, and so it was like, we decided that we wanted to put out For Broken Ears first, and we put out Damages and shot a bunch of videos, The Key. And the project did well. Like it didn't go crazy,
but it did well.
But it added to the story, and then it started picking up outside a lot more, even outside of Nigeria. And then we signed to the label, but by then Muyiwa had actually taken her to meet Wiz, and they did Essence, right? And funny enough, like Essence was not the first single on his project. It was not the second single on his project.
It just cuts.
Yeah,
it just cuts. It's fire.
And for the label, obviously, from their perspective, is like both of these artists are on our label, right? So like this is like the biggest win-win situation we can have because we're not sharing any of this with anybody else.
Let's max out.
So and then Essence just went crazy, and what it did was that it made people now go back to the other stuff we had put out, and then Free Mind went crazy in America, and then it started this like snowball effect of different things happening, which then culminated in the album that Born in the Wild that we put out last year.
And even also like the Future sample.
Exactly.
That's again, and this is something I've asked you because a lot of it feels very right place, right time, which I think, because the thing is, you worked with other artists, and obviously it didn't work out the way you wanted. Why do you think everything just checked out this time? Do you think it was, let me not lead you. Yeah. Why do you think it worked out this time? So,
I think a number of things, right? I say this and it may sound like a very weird statement to make, but of all the artists that I've ever worked with in my life, Tems has the biggest heart out of all of them. That's number one. Because I've seen acts of generosity and things that she has done that I'm like, bruh, like, even we have to like rein it back sometimes. And it's done from a position of not even, like, I would, like, she would hate for this to ever
come out,
for the actual act to ever come out. I'm sure even this, you may even be like, why are you talking? But I feel like, one, I think why I go back to, I'll go to the word grace and discernment, is because you need grace to be able to discern, right? There's so many ways that her career could have gone, because I feel like the biggest hindrance for talented people is decision making. Sometimes it could be a manager you choose that steals your money. It could be a record label. It could be you could sign too early. It could be, there's so many configurations, right? But why I think there is an element of like timing, because I oftentimes say that we made it through the gate just before this full TikTok era really kicked in.
Yeah.
Right? That's number one. Number two is that where I like, and I think grace in choosing the right sort of people, because I also see how those people played a big part in some of the strategy and moves that we made, right? I'll give an example. We were adamant that we need to put out For Broken Ears independently. We had already started speaking to the label from Try Me, but we said we want to put this out independently, and we're going to, if this label deal goes away, cool. If you guys are serious and you really want us, then you have to give us the opportunity to go and put this out independently. Now, as it is independent, so many things have come out of that project.
Yeah.
Right? Future, different things.
Damn.
Do you understand? Like,
there's a dots that are just connected. It's like, oh, fuck. Crazy. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
like
cool.
that's a strategic decision that is made.
Jeez.
Like that, we saw one part of the strategic decision, but we didn't see the full picture.
But he realized in a way
But
that
after a while, when we start saying, oh, actually, like this, we own this, you know?
Yeah.
Like for some people, a lot of their big things are owned and controlled by a label, you know? But I'll park that to one side, right? I also think then, like, the decision to, I would not have, and I say this and we know it as well, like, I would not have thought, looking at the landscape of things, that Wale and Muyiwa would be a good fit. From just, if I stand back and I see the public persona of both of them, or just like, but if I see it in a deeper way, right? Like, oh, I've hung out with this guy, and I've hung out with this guy, and actually there's something in both of them that I think, because all Tems kept telling me was like, you guys should just talk. And if you guys talk and you guys don't get on, then it's cool. But you guys should just talk. And from the first phone call, we're like, all right, cool. Yeah, we're doing this, you know. And I don't know how she knew. Like, and that configuration of a call, I could speak to somebody that I think, yo, who the hell is this guy? You know, but we connect, and it was a very hard call. Like, it wasn't even like, it was like, yo, this is what I stand for, this is what I stand for, this is what, okay, we're both aligned, all right, cool, let's move forward. Again, I still think that there is a level of like grace and discernment that comes from that. The other reason why I know it is like grace and discernment is, I remember the day my brother and I did a short film, Lizard, and it won at Sundance, right? And I remember he called me, and it was during COVID, so he called me like, yo, we just won at Sundance, we just won the prize. And we can't tell anybody yet, but they told me like a week before. And and I was like, crazy. So obviously you can't tell anybody. I was like calling my friends, like, yo, do you know what? And as I was about to call like Tems, she called me, and she's like, I don't know what's going on. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I have something crazy to tell you. I was like, I have something crazy to tell you. She was like, what? I was like, say your own first. She was like, Beyonce and Drake just DM'd me.
God, when?
On the same day. It's not like,
No, that's
bro, like, and then I'm like, my film just won this award. And I like, the reason why I say grace, right? Like, the reason why I say is because
oh God, I need to touch the hem of her garment.
it's like, it's a situation where it could have been any other day. But the fact that all of these things happen on the same day make me know that there's something higher. That's my personal take on it. Because it could have been a week, could have been 2 weeks, could have been a month, it could have been whatever. But on the particular moment, I'm calling her to share my own good news. She's calling to share her own good news, you know. And from there, we collaborate with them, work with them. So what have they heard? That was even before Essence.
Yeah.
So that's why I know that, like, I'll give Beyonce and Drake, those two people, they're
Top 10.
They're like the Arsene Wenger of like music. They know as that boy is playing at 11 years old, they already know that this guy could be a future star. Like, they are so tapped in that, like, yeah, it's literally, it's crazy, you know.
So again, back to this point of just how quickly everything changed. But I think the one thing that kind of stands out, and you've kind of spoken about it in terms of you guys not just being managers, but being business partners. But it's just how, no matter how much more visible she gets, it's a collective win. And I'm saying this not just you. I'm saying this is not just Muyiwa. It's Deeds. Is Dunsin.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's one of the finest. And I mean, I think of like a parallel is looking at someone like Jay-Z. And you know how people is like, yo, Jay-Z got on and he put all his niggas on.
Yeah.
And even because like the other thing I kind of take it back to was kind of when you guys did the Jameson campaign. And again, it wasn't just Tems. It was every single member of this collective. So why has it been so important for you guys to, as you're leveling up, like level up as?
Because I think that, again, it speaks to, as crazy as it sounds, right? It speaks to, you know, I said something to my brother actually a couple of days ago, and I said the same thing for Tems, right? Both of them, my brother is the director of our film. Tems, now at this stage, multiple award-winning artist, right? Both of them are the tip of the arrow, right? Like, God has placed them at the tip of the arrow, right? Now, for me, the tip of the arrow is very, very important because there are a lot of people who just want it to be about them. That's the truth. It's your moments in the sun. Like, how do I make it all about me? It just needs to be about me. But the Jameson thing, like, they had a rough idea of like, you know, yeah, we just want you and your managers or whatever. But Tems was like, no, I want it to be this, and then this can take the picture, and then this person can do this, and this person, you know, like, because for us, we realize that the position we are in, as much as, yes, music, artists, all of that, right, is very, very important to also realize that for a lot of people in the West, right, we are the lens that they look at Africa through. You know, that's one thing that I feel like a lot more artists need to also bear in mind, right? Where the lens that they look at Africa through is very, very strategic, and again, important for us that the first song we put out from the album was Love Me Jeje. It's very, very important that we shoot in Lagos. It's very, very important. Like label can say go and shoot anywhere, go and do whatever. But
you guys even did a listen party here.
Exactly.
And I remember I made a point of that because it's like Nigerian artists are never in the country when
it's important because they, like, yes, on one side, everybody say, you need to sensitize your home base. No, but aside from the people that actually started championing Tems first, most of those people that were in that room, Timmy B, Kemi Smalls, all of these people are people that played the record first, like Try Me, Mr. Rebel, Luku. So we had to get them in the room. Like, it's super important because you can't make it and then just be like, peace, guys. Like, see you later. Hope you have a good one. Like, we had to get them in the room. We had to make them also know that they are special because if they didn't start playing it, no matter what, if you put in a jug or you put in a few drops, you're still adding to the bucket. That's number one. Number two is then that from the outside, right, it's important that you guys know that this is the origin. Like, it's super, super important. So as much as you, and we're going to do it in a way that, like, you see, you recognize, and it resonates in your world, but also you're seeing things that Tems said, I want a flatbed going through Lagos. And I'm just going to be like, going crazy and even that image in itself, people are driving through traffic. Like, it was such a crazy moment, crazy experience. And I just think that like we have to be intentional because where we are with our music globally and where we are with our art and where we are with our fashion and where we are with our now design. I mean, it's always been design, but now some guys in the design space are going forward.
Yeah.
I feel like we are, in my opinion, we are some of the sickest people in the world.
100 facts.
Like, I strongly believe that. One of the things when we were making this film, that one day I was on set and I was just looking at it and I was like, these people, they are finished. Because, no, for real, because I know how I've been doing music videos for years. I know how like, you know what, I got to work with Anti-Design on this particular thing because I saw how them and Davido and Wale did this video and the set they built. One day I'll be able to afford those guys for my own video too. You know, I know how, this guy who's our first AD, man, I've seen his work, right? Now, what you guys are telling me is that I get to build my own work with budgets. I can assemble my own dream team of like Nigerians.
Yeah.
Like for the project. There's no way. Like honestly, I feel like it's harder to fail than like in my opinion. Again, because I feel like one, the source material is already great. Everybody that is here are already great in their own right. And we have like backing that
we didn't have before. You know, and that's why I just think like I feel like even when we spoke about Jameson and you asked the question, I feel the biggest problem has been there was no Jameson to back SDC.
Let me even park SDC first. That one is even an obvious one. Let me say there was no Jameson to back Black Magic or Timmy Dollface or any of those people. And what I mean by that is that P Square, David, Wizkid, all of these guys, they will spend a lot of money to promote and market their singles. Us as like alter artists or whatever, we are hoping for our fans to support us. That's the truth. Like we've never had the resources to be able to say, you know what, that's why I have to start shooting videos because I spent out of the 2 million that I had to shoot a video. How many Clarence Peters videos do some of these guys have? Like 5 or 6, you know, but we never really, and I think some of that falls on us as alter artists as well, is that we never really pushed it with our chest. I remember seeing one time when Fino was coming up and he said he sold his ride to shoot a video. I never sold my ride. I never had that much, like, you know what, I'm going to, if I just sell this ride and do this, it's going to take me over.
To back my hustle to that extent.
I never did that, you know, and so I think like it's a marriage of like resource.
But
yeah.
But you did, bro, you quit a job.
Yes.
That was paying you in FX.
Yes.
To combine. So you have committed
the leap.
Yeah,
Yes,
you've committed
I'm
to the hustle. So the fact that you didn't sell your car doesn't make your sacrifice less valid.
Fair. I agree. I think that what I was trying to say is just that I feel like I don't really think many left of center, I don't even like using the word alter or alternative, whatever. Many left of center artists have never really had the opportunity to really push a record the way like artists that live in the center do. Yeah. Like
one thing you guys did this year that, you know, it gave me endorphins, as they say, was the football club announcement. And I got that before it came out. So I was just like, fuck, these guys are good, are so out of here. There's a World Cup in America next year. They have an MLS club now. And I know that again, because the communication was that was it. It wasn't just Tems. It was Tems, Muyiwa, and Wale. So talk to me about what that means, like, and how it came about.
I think that like in developing strategy, right? Again, I use that thing like a window to which, like, Tems is also, in a lot of ways, I'll be quite honest, it's also a key, right? Because me as Wale I cannot just go to MLS and say, hey,
How far?
just that, what's up, guys? Just that. And like, and so the thing is, our big picture in everything that we do, like, is always like the football club. I think that like we're like is sports and football and music and creativity and film and all these things. I really feel is our like way out of this mess that we find ourselves in.
It's Tinubu times.
Right, like is our way out of this mess that we find ourselves in, because like I don't see anybody. For the longest time I was sitting and I just think, okay, so everybody's talking about AI now, right? If I was a multi-billionaire, why wouldn't I just go and buy like 3 warehouses? The same way Dari Atalade and his wife have that space for concerts, right? If I was a multi-millionaire, and I wasn't an entertainer, because I think what they built is super relevant for us in this market, but if I was a multi-billionaire, like, why wouldn't I just go and buy like some facilities like that across Nigeria, get like my own little power plants to power it, get like, I don't know where the main place, like now they say some Chinese guys built one AI that is better than America's AI. I don't know.
Oh, DeepSeek.
Yeah. Get some guys from China, right? See, they're already here mining resources now. Bring the computer versions of those guys, right? And just get a bunch of kids and teach them coding and teach them AI and just start like building. Because I know that if I invest in that human capital, I'm not even a tech guy, right? Pardon the pun. But like I know that if I invest in human capital and I just need to bring all the resources to the table, that at least if I did this hub north, west, east, and south, at least I should be able to get. And again, I also honestly have a theory that Nigerians are like by default some of the smartest people in the world. But anyway, I'll park that as well. Like, at least I know I'll get like 10 bad guys from that investment that will create a multi-billion-dollar company for me, and or a program or something that I can sell to a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Like I see what all these guys are doing in the tech space just out of CC Hub. Mm-hmm. Like CC Hub in Yaba, that just are like there's. So for me, it's like, why don't we do that at scale? And it just used to blow my mind that, okay, but who is not thinking inside these governments to do that? You know, like, surely, like, in all the money that we are collecting and all the things that we're doing, there must be at least 1 or 2 billion we can just put to set that up real quick, And so going back to it, I realized that, okay, with sports, right? I was watching the Euros last year, England and Spain in the final.
Yeah.
And I bet on England, and I was pissed because Spain were running rings around them. But I gauged this. I said, I see this Lamine Yamal and this other
Nico
Williams, right? Nico Williams is Ghanaian. Lamine Yamal is like Moroccan or something like that.
I think, is it Guinea? And it's weird, man. Yeah, combination.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I had a cousin, Henry, who used to play for Arsenal under 16. He got released like last year. But I had gone to like 1 or 2 of his games. And I would see on the...
All Nigerian names.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
like all the young teams.
Yeah, all the young teams. Those London ones particularly is just
it's all Nigerian names. And then there's one of my friends, Simon, I went to school with. He works for Chelsea Academy. And so every time I'm seeing in his, like, oh, this new boy just made it, go sign forms as entering the academy, and it's all Nigerian kids as well. So then I started thinking, okay, so the difference that all of these kids have is this: they get into an academy system from young, right? And we're going to keep losing all of them. Waneri, Saka, all these guys are going to play for England.
It's the ones that can't play, they'll play for Nige.
Yes, exactly. We'll get the B list of the guys, right? Now, why, like, and I know some, because I've been studying academies now for a while, I started studying this Right to Dream in Ghana, who are connected with San Diego FC.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, okay, if we look at this deal in all its entirety, one, there's a World Cup coming, right? So there's direct opportunities for entertainment, investments, concerts, sideshows, different things we're doing. Two, the sports in America is going to
Explode.
go crazy. It's already started doing that since they brought Messi into the league.
Yeah.
They have more plans to bring more big stars. Three, this setup actually marries into everything that we've been thinking about in terms of capacity development, training the next generation, doing all of that. So, and they already have this academy set up. They're the first full-on academy in American soccer, in American football in America. Let's say. Yeah. And that blew my mind.
They were roasting you guys because you went out and saying soccer.
Yeah, we had to. Those guys didn't get.
But guys, you know, they had to do what they had to do to secure the bag.
To soccerlize the whole thing, bro. Like it just like I started thinking, even the problem that America has in football is that most of their pathway is through college. By the time people are in college, they're already too old in the football terms.
Yeah.
You know, so you hear some guys signing from college to a club in Germany or but they're already at 21, 18, 20 at that point. When these kids in England is like from age 5 that they are playing this ball, you know. So for me, I'm like, okay, now once we enter the sports world, like we have credibility in that world. Already from that, there's a bunch of things that will come out this summer that like we're doing in the sports world, football specifically, that you see. And so now that we have the credibility in the sports world, we can use that leverage to create things here, like sports academies. And I'm saying this specifically, I'm not looking at the cameras, I'm saying it specifically because I want to throw bad signal to anybody that is already thinking in that, in that line, that like we want to build. There are these two brothers I met that are doing NFL stuff in Nigeria. Okay. And it's just two brothers who are just training all these guys who are going for NFL combine and are trying to, you know, and I spoke to one of them, I was like, so you mean you're just training these guys? I saw the guys in my gym, they were running drills. I was like, so you're physically training these guys, like in the gym here. So that means you guys paid for membership. Like, isn't there like a sports facility that like you can leverage off? And it's like, nah, bro, we do it all ourselves. Like, we're the ones, you know. And I just think, so these guys moved back to Nigeria 5 years ago, and they have a bunch of guys already entering the NFL. What happens if we then build a setup
at a more like formative period where you can train them and they can get into the systems?
And everywhere I've looked at it, that's why Jamaica are good at track and field. That's why these guys are good at football, because all they just do is they just set up programs. And we're in a position now where we can make the sports sexy. Like, we can package it for the world and make it sexy. Like, so why not, you know? And so for me, it's just that. It's just building. Tems is about to announce some stuff she's doing to support young musicians and young artists as well. You know, and I think it's just that. Like, it's just figuring out how we can leverage this position that we've been blessed to find ourselves in to make great commercial decisions, but also great social decisions as well. Yeah.
Okay. We've touched on it in terms of how you've kind of gotten into films. And I mean, it's kind of a flex that the two short films you've done, one just got into Cannes and the other one Sundance. But when did you decide that was a format or that was a medium that you wanted to like get into?
Let me double flex. So the short film got into Sundance, or won at Sundance, and this one is a feature that is at Cannes. So it's like, so it's just the natural progression. Like, we did a short first to kind of learn, and then we now
show capacity,
and then we now got into our first feature. But really what it was funny enough, it goes back to the initial question you started with about my dad. And I was watching an interview about somebody that just gave me it's such a weird way that this thing connected, but somebody gave me a book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I read the book, and there was a lot of concepts in the book that I liked. So I became fascinated. Let me find out more about this guy that wrote the book, some old guy. And I found this interview he did with Oprah Winfrey. So I watched this interview. And at the end of the interview, the thing just went into another Oprah interview. And it was some lady. And the lady, her father had died. Her husband had died, sorry. And she said for her, what helped her in like grief or whatever was to write letters to her dead husband or whatever. And the thing helped her just grieve better and blah blah blah. So I thought, let me see, what was that? Let me try it. So let me write a letter to my dad and just see what I would want to say to him. But she was talking about how she tells him everything that is going on in her life, how this happened today, how she went on some trips they were meant to go on. So I was like, let me try and see. So I started writing, like physically writing this letter. And as I'm writing the letter, I just start like weeping. And me, I'm a very, like, I like to view myself as a very balanced person. Like, I don't really, so I don't really feel like depressed. I don't really feel anxious. I don't really like, I just like, I'm like a balanced person. So it felt like an out of body experience because my mind was very much like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? And my body was like, but responding in this way. But I was like what's going on? So I stopped. And then I was like, no, I must get to the end of this letter. I must figure out why this thing is happening to me. So I'll write again, I'll break down again, write again, break down again, write again, break down again. And I thought, so what is like... And so I called my mom and I'm like, this really strange thing happened to me to do. That, I started writing this letter to dad and I started crying. And she was like, no, that's not strange. If they asked her if any of our children, that happened to any of our children, should have pinpointed me immediately. I said, what? She now reminded me of like incidents in childhood and things like that, why I would fight, why like, I didn't really clock as to why, so then I started thinking that, damn, man, I remember these things that she's telling me, but I'd really like blocked them out in my mind, So I started writing about like memories or whatever. So I said to my brother, like I said, you know what, I'm going to write a piece about like a father and, and a son. And I started writing and then I write a short film. Actually, that's the first thing. I wrote one thing for Ebony Life back in the day, like a TV show. And I say terrible, the show was actually good, but my writing was terrible because at the time I was broke and my guy was just giving me like 100K per script. So I'll just write, shout out Wall Banger. I started writing this too. So I had the software final draft. So I said, let me try and write this thing for my dad or whatever. And I wrote a short thing. And I sent it to my brother thinking, hey, I just wrote this thing because he's a director. So I was like, I just wrote this thing. What do you think? And he was like, man, I read it and I cried. And I was like, for real? And he was like, yeah, this thing is beautiful. In fact, I've been thinking of writing this short film called Lizard. Would you help me write it? And I was like, I guess, sure. Like, I didn't know I'm a writer, but I'll do it. And so we worked on that and we wrote that and then we shot it. Fatherland produced it, and then that's the one that won at Sundance. So at that point, I'm like, sometimes, I feel like, oh, so is this the level? Like, I didn't even, like, in my mind, I was almost like, I didn't even view myself as a writer.
Yeah.
But I think that, so this next film, I was like, okay, now that this proof.
I have this.
Let me now flex on them. Let me show them a little bit more, And it's funny, it's even like with Tems as well. Like for the longest time, I didn't view myself as a manager. So a lot of times I would like, let me go to the forefront because I just didn't view, like, I don't know whether it's imposter syndrome or whatever it is, but I was like, I'm not a manager, I'm an artist, I'm a creative, like, I'm not a manager. Like, why am I, I'm just helping my friend, is how I'll always look at it in my mind. But then, like, recently I've come to the realization, actually, no, you are a manager, and you're a pretty sick manager as well, and you are a writer, and you're a pretty sick writer as well. Like Nicole, who was one of your guests, when I first started writing, I'm like, you are my writer friend, so I'm going to send it to you because I'm just fooling around here, and so we will send each other. She really helped me a lot. She showed me some websites, she gave me writing prompts, she brought me a book called Save the Cat, which helped me understand the structure of like film. And it took me a while to actually say to my friends that like, I'm a writer or I'm a manager, or I just don't know. I just always felt like my identity, I'd struggled so much to have people accept my identity as Show Dem Camp, and now that I have it, I'm going to safeguard it and I can't have any other identities, but the truth is that we're human beings and we can do multiple things, so.
And it's funny because I was reading something your brother said where he said you're like his favorite person. Like if he could work with only you, he would do that. So
Yeah.
I think it's even just richer, the fact that obviously these two stories have been kind of almost as a legacy of losing your dad, and that you guys have gotten to kind of, work on it together.
I'll say one thing, sorry, it's very important that I say. I think that the key to all of that, Tems, my brother, all of that, is also knowing how to park your ego and play your position. I think that's something that people find very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I know that they are the spearhead of the arrow, so I can just focus on being a great bow, or great string, but yeah.
And I think something that you kind of spoke about earlier on, and I think it's something I've kind of, in just thinking about your work and everything you've spoken about, is, I guess, the power of dreams. So, like when you were talking earlier on and saying, it's like you're the type of person who you envision something for someone. It's not even, the person might not even understand it, or it's beyond like the wildest imagination, but like those things end up happening. And I think even your life and your career, because you might seem like a late bloomer, but then at this stage of your life is where, like, just phenomenal achievement on top of phenomenal achievement. But you won't be here without those dreams, without first, like, obviously envisioning those things. So talk to me about like what those dreams do for you.
I think that, first of all, like, I think I always joke about it. I joke about it with Muyiwa a lot. Is that, man, imagine if all of this stuff we're seeing now, I saw it in my 20s, I would have run mad. I'm serious. I would have actually gone crazy. Like, I can't lie to you. Like, where my headspace was at in my 20s, I would have gone crazy. But for me, I think that I've realized I would always do stuff when I was young. I'd always get myself into a fix, right? And then that would be the time I'll remember to pray, right? I remember one time in school, I blasted my school fees, and it was now time it was in the UK. So in the UK, they're super lenient, but at this point, they've written letters that if you don't pay your school fees, you're going to be kicked off the course. So I started, and I wasn't working. I was trying to figure out, where will I get this money from? What will I do? And then something will always just happen. Somebody will call me. My older brother just called me out of the blue that day. What's happening? Are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was like, maybe this is the person that God has sent to me. So I was like, I blasted my school fees. They're going to kick me out of school. I don't know what to do. I can't talk to mom. And he was like, okay, how much is it? I'll borrow you. Or another time, I was in Nigeria. I was in London, and the guys, some particular people at the time in London that I was in a position to hang out with out of circumstance. They wanted to do, in London, it's called it Odu at the time. They wanted to do Odu at the time, so they kind of said, all you need to do, find somebody who do this. Anyway, so I found somebody for them to do their Odu with or whatever. And maybe a day or two before, my sister calls me from America, and she's like, she went to go and see a fortune teller or palm reader or something like that. My sister used to go to do all those things. So she said and the person told her that she has a brother that is about to do something that is going to change the course of his life, and that she should tell him not to do it. And now I'm in England, my sister is in America. We have not spoken. She doesn't know the people I'm with, like nothing, right? I'm like, obviously on the phone, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. But So I immediately just disassociated myself from things like that. And I realized that whenever I'm about to go off course, why I call it grace is something always just keeps coming to warn me or tell me or whatever. And in some instances, depending on what the thing is, I might see the warning and still go ahead, and I've made a decision that if it still fails spectacularly, I'm fine with that because I knew God gave me the warning, but, I remember I bet on Arsenal and Barcelona in the Champions League final that year. And then from there, I don't bet again because it was such a painful thing when Arsenal lost that match. I thought we were going to win Henry. I thought.
How much money did you bet? Was it a lot of money?
Yeah, I probably think at that time, for me, probably like £250 or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah. and then I lost all the money, and we got a red card, and I was just like, oh my God.
And then you got, what's that red card? You can't even, what's cash out?
Yes. Do you understand? So I was just like, you know what, I'm not even, like, I don't bet, because I keep seeing this thing, but for me, why the dreams are super important, and the dreams are also intertwined with prayer. I'll be honest and say that. I remember the first day when Fumbi signed the contract, and myself and Icon and Fumbi, we met in Icon's studio. He had a studio called The Red Room, and we're all there. I was like, okay, we finally signed this contract now, guys. Icon was like, we should pray. I was like, okay, cool. I believe in God anyway, so like you saying that, I think it's a good decision. Let's pray. And we're like, let's say what we want out of this partnership.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody said their own thing. I mean, I was like, yeah, this partnership is going to take us to the Grammys, man. We're going to win a Grammy. We're going to, and so obviously we had a song Hallelujah that came out, did super well. We thought, okay, this is it. It's going to keep moving this way. But different things happened, and the relationship didn't pan out the way we expected it to pan out. Fast forward a few years later, I remember we were going, like Tems, the Future song was nominated for the Grammy. And so we went. And as I just sat down in the chair, I just remembered holding hands with these two other guys, praying
in a studio in Lagos,
praying to go to the Grammys, and praying that, like, the music will make it to the Grammys.
Not on a KK and D1 level, like actually
going
inside, not just parking outside. And
I didn't even know that happened. That's crazy. And then so I just thought about it, that, you know what, it may not be how I expected it to happen or who I expected it to happen with, but somehow the dream was still, it still was precise. And even then, that day, I was like, I also know that we're going to, I said to Tems, I was like, but we're also going to the next one we're coming for. You're like, you're winning, like, for your own jam, And so then it's funny, now after, like, there's 3 nominations, and so for me, I do believe in the power of dreaming. I think everything that I am, even when we're doing Show Dem Camp and we started, I knew that there were people that wanted to hear this music. We didn't know them, we couldn't find them, we didn't know that it was possible, we didn't know, but I knew there were people, I just knew in my mind, I was like, if I love music the way I love music, and I love listening to, and the one day that proved to me, when they keep saying this, Nigerians don't like rap, was the day J. Cole came to Lagos.
Yeah.
And his album had just come out.
Yeah.
And everybody was rapping.
I'll even say for us, I remember because earlier Wilson picked up like a video that we had posted, and even that, because the thing is, to them, it's even the same thing. Like when Migos came to Lagos, and people see those videos, and it's like, what? People are listening to J. Cole and Migos like this in Lagos.
Nigeria, And I think it's just the presentation of the rap. I think it's the presentation. Look at what Odumodu is doing now, right? At the end of the day, he's presenting rap in a hyper-masculine way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, people are like, oh my God, his lyrics, his babes, but a lot of his fans are babes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of hyper-masculine guys, So in a lot of ways, I feel like it's just the presentation. Odumodu has tapped into something, the way he presents himself, the way he talks. He knows when he says certain things, he knows I believe he knows it will cause controversy.
No, he definitely does.
And that's also a great 50 cent marketing tactic, So
the same way Muiwa knows that he's going to get a strong reaction from the audience.
Muiwa, literally sometimes I'm like, Muiwa, what have you tweeted? He's there laughing and enjoying it as they are sending, yeah, man.
This has been just the best conversation, but unfortunately, as all good things come to an end. So to round these interviews up, I usually ask 2 questions. So the first one is, if there's anyone you would love to see me have this conversation with, let's just say I make you my producer for the day. You're already, you're in the A&R, everything business. Who are you booking for me?
Nigerian-wise, right?
It could be, Nigerian-wise helps, but
let's say Nigerian-wise.
Let's give Nigerian-wise.
I think I would love to see somebody have a very, very real conversation with Asha. Because there are things that you hear floating around the industry at the time, and that could be quite testing to an artist, and she was able to transform that into success. So I'm curious to know like her own mindset and what that. And then I think I would say that doesn't have to be an artist. Can it be anybody?
It can be anybody.
Okay. I think, honestly, I think that it's going to sound mad random, but I think that I wish somebody could have a very real conversation with Tinubu. No, and I'll explain why. Because, like, and the reason why I'm saying as your producer, right, is because any politician in Nigeria is going to have like a watered down, like people-pleasing conversation with a journalist or with whoever they speak to. But if they could have this level of conversation where you're able to ask them anything, right? How did you maneuver your way?
Yeah.
What are some of the, like, because there's some things that I see that I'm like, man, this shit is mafia. Like, that's what I see.
Yeah.
Like, and I just like, damn, man, like, so if you're a mafia boss, for example.
What have you seen?
What have you seen? You understand? Like, I'm curious. And so I started thinking, because like, I started thinking, who else can I pinpoint as like a mafia boss in Nigeria? And there are a lot of like mini bosses.
But he's the
like,
real.
Yeah, because that guy said he wanted to be president, and good, bad, ugly, whatever it may be, he's president. So his strategy or his plotting worked. And there's an element of even playing a position, because my guy said, okay, I can't be president now, but this next guy will be, right? So I'm going to stay behind this guy, push this guy, and waste my 8 years. Who even knows you're even going to be alive in 8 years?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Like, so I'm curious, and I'm also then curious as well as to how people say so many of the right things that they want to do and how change. So it's like, oh, so you know what the change could look like, right? I'm curious as to why then
You don't do it.
Yeah. I think I'm genuinely curious, like, to figure that out. Yeah.
Okay. And then final question.
Yeah.
This has been the longest, I think it's been the longest Overnight Success episode ever. So that means that there's almost no part of your life that we haven't dug into. So in the spirit of fairness, balance, good-naturedness, is there any question you'd like to ask me?
I think the question I would ask you is, for you to approach, I guess, like excavating information from the people you speak to, right? It means that you yourself have perspective or certain perspectives, right? So on your own journey to get to this place, on your own journey to have these sensibilities to research and to ask these types of questions and to push the conversation in this direction, what do you feel has been the most important attributes or thing that you have learned along the way on your journey? That's played a part in bringing you, like...
Yeah. Honestly, curiosity. So, like my friends, like there's a joke where it's like, if you want any piece of gist, just call Mayawa. Like he'll have it, or he'll know something. Like it's just like, this guy's a gist lover. And I said the thing is, like, a lot of times I don't go looking for it. It comes to me. It happens in the most random places. I might be on the queue at Hands and Renee. I'll just overhear something, and that's like, okay, cool, that makes sense. Like, it happens in the most unexpected of ways. And so I think it's that curiosity to look at someone and not look at them in the sense of what you're just seeing. You're trying to make sense of all the things that went into them becoming this person. all the decisions they made and that they didn't make. And so that's the thing, like, it's like when you start doing research, you now start like, geez, I didn't know this. Or maybe you knew this and then you, obviously in the process, you talk to people sometimes, it's like you connect the dots. You're like, that makes sense. So it's really just approaching it being open-minded. Like just, okay, I am going to have a conversation with this person. I mean, my North Star is that every conversation I have with this person is like, it is the definitive or the ultimate interview about that person.
Gotcha.
So I want a situation where if anyone is going to do anything about you in the future, if they don't come and watch this interview, they didn't do their job.
Yeah.
So it's that level of, okay, like I'm going to dig and dig and dig and dig. And then sometimes...
Are you competitive?
Yes, I'm competitive.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm competitive.
Sounds like
Yeah, so it's like, I want mine to be the best, and to be the most like in-depth, or to be the most like researched and well thought out and all that stuff. And so it's like, just making sense. Yours, for it, like, it's funny because usually sometimes I call people. Like, I was actually considering calling someone who is close to you to be like, okay, these are the questions, this is where I'm at. Like, is there anything I'm missing out on? Because sometimes that is what happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's like just to kind of obviously know and understand this person or their journey better. Like, what are the pain points? What are the things that have maybe people don't see? Like, and a lot of times it helps. It's like when people just give you like just certain
bits of nuggets.
That's like about this person. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. It's like interesting. And so I think honestly, it's just coming at it with just curiosity, just wanting to see and learn and understand this thing, like at the highest level, and to be able to now condense that into a conversation that people feel they can come and connect with. Yeah. But any other thing? Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So thank you, Wale, for having this conversation with me. Yeah. I can't honestly. There's so many times as we're having this conversation, I'm just like, we need to clip this one, we need to clip this one, we need to clip this one. And then also for me, it's just because it's the ultimate like creator's journey. Like, so we've seen you go on this journey from, just a fledgling rapper to now obviously managing, then even now SDC, it's at its most commercial in value, and then you're now even doing films. Like, it's just like, how fun now? And to the viewers at home, I hope this conversation does as much for you as it did for me. And catch you this time next week with another fantastic guest.
Boom.